featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but three first names, David Scott Kelly.
We are on the eve of the NCAA Tournament, at least as it relates to the University of Arizona. Games started last night on the men's side. Virginia stunk up the joint. Howard almost came back and won. A lot of upset people in my family over that game. Tonight, we've got the first games on the women's side in the first four, and we've got the second half of the men's first four, which will include a team from the Pac-12 as the Colorado Buffaloes will play tonight. Arizona and Arizona men and women will play tomorrow, the men at 11 a.m. Tucson time. It's almost, it's the epitome of the NCAA tournament. That first Thursday, J-Dub, did you ever skip work? Did you ever skip out of work on that first Thursday? Because a lot of people they used to say that it was the day of the most lost production in the United States of any day of the year was the first day of the NCAA tournament.
So the answer is no, and I'll tell you why. It's because I'm way too smart for that, DK. So I bartended or worked at bars during the 90s.
So you didn't have to skip out work.
Into the early 2000s. So there were televisions everywhere. After that, I was a freelance graphic designer and animator for 15 years, so I could watch the games and do work as well. And I've been in sports radio for the last 10 years, so it's kind of my job. So every job I've had, more or less, I had the opportunity to watch the first couple of days. I think Thursday and Friday are the best 2 days of the year for sports. It's just so much chaos. I love it.
I mean, it is absolutely, like I've said, I got my buddy, and one of my television buddies, he and his guys, they have a guys trip every year this weekend.
Vegas?
They go to Las Vegas. Yeah, and they just hang out in the book and they watch the games and do guy stuff for 3-4 straight days. Debauchery. Basketball debauchery, as they like to say.
I've never made a trip specifically for betting on this, but I did go to I told you I went to Cabo. I went there for 10 days and it happened to be for spring break that coincided with the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. So I was down there in legal betting. This was in the 90s, so there was no legal betting around America other than Las Vegas. And,
offshore.
Yeah, and on boats in Mississippi or whatever. But, yeah, I remember I do have a lot of friends who do the same thing, DK. A lot of people I know, they definitely make an effort to get to Vegas for the first couple of days because, it's the most bet on sporting event other than the World Cup, if I'm not mistaken, which only happens every 4 years, but more money comes in on the NCAA tournament than does the Super Bowl. So kind of crazy.
So the games for Arizona, again, the men will play at 11 a.m. The women will play at 4 tomorrow. They are in Storrs, Connecticut, where apparently it is really cold. You'll hear from Helena Puello today. You'll hear from Esmeri Martinez. They spoke to the media. It was press conference day at both locations, so we'll have all the press conferences for you. If you were with us a little bit earlier, right around noon, we carried the men's press conference with Umar Ballo and Pella Larson, and then Tommy Lloyd spoke. You'll hear that press conference again as a part of this show. You'll also hear from Adia Barnes, as well as the young ladies I just mentioned, Helena Puello, Esmeri Martinez. You'll also hear it was comedy. It was comedy day in Salt Lake City because Dan Monson was at the microphone. And apparently he was just dropping one-liner after one-liner, talking about how his situation compares to an episode of Seinfeld. Now, I never was a real big Seinfeld watcher. I mean, I had roommates in college that lived and died by that show. Like, they would not, like Thursday night at 8 o'clock or whatever time it came on, 8:39, I don't remember what time it was on.
Sure.
But Thursday night, I remember they were in front of the TV.
Live sporting events because that's appointment television as far as I'm concerned. Watching a basketball game the next day doesn't have the same appeal. But yeah, no, I think Seinfeld is just such a piece of Americana. The style of humor, so much has come from that. Friends is not the same show, but in some ways there's a lot of similarities as far as the the ensemble cast and all hanging out in one apartment type of thing. One of my favorite shows is Always Sunny, which basically comes directly from Seinfeld.
Sunny.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia, yeah, and
Always
it's
Sunny in
more or less Seinfeld, but just the people are even worse,
Right.
even worse. So
Wasn't that was on like that was wasn't that
not
a little
was
darker?
still is on.
Is
It's
it?
still going. It's the longest running live action television show of all time.
Oh wow, there you go. I've never watched an episode of that.
Yeah, I think they're on season 17 or
Holy mackerel.
something like that. Yeah,
Jeez, that's longer than what's that cartoon one that's on
Simpsons.
Simpsons. Yeah, jeez, that's a long.
Simpsons
time.
is like 30 years in. Or,
Yeah.
Simpsons was early 90s is when it started, I think. I mean, Tracy Ullman shows where it came from.
Right.
But yeah, I think Simpsons' first season was 89 or 90, I want to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a minute.
So apparently Dan Monson was comparing himself to George, who apparently was tried to get himself fired and couldn't get himself fired. And
Yeah.
that's the situation with Dan Monson. He's fired, but he's still employed because his team won't lose. And I'm telling you, man, this game scares the bejesus out of me. I mean, it scares the bejesus out of me. What do they say in the neighborhood? These guys don't give a clap. They don't. They as I said, they're Cinderella, and they're buying into it, and they're going to go out there tomorrow and they're going to play fancy free and without a care in the world, because they're one of those teams that's not supposed to be in this tournament.
Yeah.
And that scares the hell out of me.
I think any team that's a 15, 16, 14 even falls in that category. And I know the Monson story is unique because they lost 5 in a row and they got fired and then they had to win the conference tournament just to get into the NCAA tournament. I just feel like that sense of no pressure. Like we're just supposed to be here to get a swag bag and be on our way after the first game, right? Like that's the idea. And then all of a sudden, you beat Purdue. Because there's no pressure. That idea of nobody's expecting us to win, so we're just going to come out here, like you said, play fancy free and with no care in the world. And of course, any team that is a huge underdog and is not expected to be able to defeat your team is scary. Because if you don't take them, how many times has Arizona lost this year, DK? Because they went into a game maybe overlooking the opponent. I think that's most of their losses this year. So. Yeah, that's always a scary proposition. I think the idea that the difference is I think there's 4 seniors on this team, several of them who have been on deep runs. Umar obviously was on the team in Zags, but I'm talking more primarily about Keyshawn and Caleb because they had a lot to do with those runs to the final game. And so when you have players like that, let alone 4 senior leaders who, 3 of them have a chance to come back for a COVID year. We'll see what happens, but more or less their time at Arizona is over. So there's a finality to all of that. And if you don't take teams like Long Beach State seriously in the first round, I think it was, I'm trying to remember, Miami of Ohio maybe was a team that Arizona struggled with on that road to the national championship thing. I think it was in the second round.
Yeah.
They were down by like 9 points.
Or
with
was
like
it
5 minutes to
South
go.
Alabama maybe?
Yeah, I'd have to look it up. But yeah, there was a game against, again, a team that you're favored by 10, 15 points over that you have to make a run. And I think the guys on this team, any team, to make my rambling coherent, any team that has is a huge underdog like that, DK, is scary. And when you have senior leadership and guys who've been there, done that, I think you could sleep better tonight knowing that those guys are on this team and we'll have the younger guys prepared for that first round game.
520-848-1290 is the number for you to get in on the program. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. We're streaming this show live and in color on Facebook Live, YouTube. I don't think they call it live. Twitch. I don't think they call it live either. But you can watch us on any of those platforms at Wildcats Radio 1290. You can go to Wildcats 1290 on Twitter and watch the program. You can listen to this program at wildcatsradio1290.com. That is our website. You can download our app. Please download our app because it slaps. We've got all of our interviews from yesterday. We were out at the Tucson Country Club, and the Arizona men's golf team won the Arizona Thunderbirds Intercollegiate. So if you missed any of our interviews from yesterday, you can find all of those interviews by just going to our app, go to 1290 on demand, and listen to the chat we had. We had with legendary head coach Rick LaRose and his player Jay Pennypacker, who was a member of that 1992 national championship team, Ryan Davis, the general manager out at Tucson Country Club. We chatted with him. We chatted with the winner, Tiger Christensen, Sam Summerhauser from U of A Golf, who finished third. There's an interview with them. There's also an interview with Jim Anderson, the head coach. Lots of good stuff. If you're interested in what people are thinking about in terms of the Live versus PGA, good stuff there from Rick LaRose and Jay Pennypacker and Ryan Davis on how they feel about this adversarial relationship that we're seeing between the PGA and the Live Golf Tour, and can you bring these two entities together to get golf back on the same professional golf anyway, back on the same page. So some good stuff there from all of them on that subject.
You said they won the tournament, but they won by 21 strokes over the second place. So maybe win isn't quite as strong enough. I'm not sure.
What's the golf term for absolutely blowing away a team?
Yeah, 21. I mean, New Mexico was in the, I think New Mexico fell off there towards the end. So 21 strokes was the final count.
They did, because they were actually in the red the last time I looked at the board, and they were like, I think, -4. So it was like 17. Also, and then the next thing I looked up in there, it was like +4.
Shout out to Central Arkansas. They finished 7th. That's like maybe 40, 50 miles from where Paige grew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. And shout out to Debbie. Debbie chimed in that she's got her bracket done already. Did you double check Debbie's bracket?
I haven't seen Debbie's bracket, but I have no doubt. No, Debbie is a basketball person. Like she played basketball, coached basketball. She knows a lot about basketball. Yeah.
All right. So we got to find out. Maybe we can get Debbie to call in so we can find out who she's got.
I don't think you have to ask her twice.
Debbie, 520-848-1290. We want to know who you picked to win the national championship. All right, yesterday we were out at the Tucson Country Club Life yesterday. Do either of the two of you, we're joined by Cricket.
Hello.
Hello, Cricket.
Good day.
Cricket, J-Dub, do either of you have country club friends?
I did grow up.
Big silence.
See, that's where I was gonna go. I said I know J-Dub. J-Dub grew up in academia, so I'm sure he's got country club fans.
My mom was really good friends with Marion Toffel, and we had one of the Toffels on more recently. And at the time, Marion was the owner of the racket club, so my mom and her were close.
Yes.
My mom went every Monday over to her house to do this old lady hippie thing that they all did with like crystals or whatever, and so I knew Marion.
Wait, what?
It's another story for another day. It's just Tucson stuff in the foothills in Tucson in the 70s and 80s was just like that. So growing up, I was at the racket club quite a lot. But
you're talking the Tucson Racket Club.
Yeah. Any club.
Okay, yeah.
I think just, so growing up, I spent quite a bit of time. But as far as like people I know that are members of golf clubs and go regularly, no. Not these days, no.
Okay. So, yeah, we always, my wife and I used to always, because we came here from Cleveland. Well, I came from via Memphis, but we met in Cleveland. And we used to always say, because Cleveland's right on the lake there, there's a lot of boating that goes on in the summertime, right? So we used to always joke around and say, we need to get some boat friends.
Oh, yeah.
Have any boat friends.
Boat friends are good friends to have.
Yes, they are. Do you have boat friends, Cricket? Do you have any boat friends? Because you seem like an outdoorsy type of person, like you would.
I had a friend that had a boat, and every time we would go out in the boat, it broke down. One time we were stranded in the middle of Apache Lake, and we had to paddle the boat back. Somebody was really nice and riding the boat by, and they said, we can tow you guys, and you look pitiful. But he always had problems with his boat. I'm not saying that always happens, but I hear it's very similar to that. As soon as you get a boat, all you do is pay to fix the boat. Yeah. So
my grandfather was one of the surveyors of Lake Powell before they built the dam and it got turned into a lake. So he was one of the guys who walked around and did all the measuring and such. And he had a boat on Lake Powell for my dad too. My dad and we went to Lake Powell for like 2 weeks a year, every year growing up. But the best boat friend I ever had was a roommate in San Francisco when I lived up there, who had separated from his wife and was living on his boat in Girardelli Square, like Pier 39 area, that area.
Well,
and one year we went out for 4th of July, and they have these barges where they set fireworks off from all the different places. So Emeryville and the city. And I think there's 6 different spots and you can see all the reflections off the water. So one year we went out, he had a sailboat or whatever. Very unstable, very unsafe experience. But I remember fish jumping up out of the water after the fireworks and stuff.
Oh, it's
definitely a memory.
Wow.
That was the best boat friend I ever had.
Oh man, I went out on one of those man-made rolling boats that they tour people on in Memphis once, and we had fish jumping up out of the Mississippi River. And and the Mississippi River is not all that clean. And so those fish were yeah.
There's
is that why you don't eat fish now? Is that why?
I never ate
Right.
fish. But
Okay,
I
just wondering.
definitely wasn't eating fish after that.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. Cricket getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together with collisions reported at 22nd Street and Craycroft. Also on Broadway east of Wilmot, some slowing on westbound Ahaway at Mission, so some backups on westbound Speedway at I-10. And 50 the overnight low, sunny, 77 tomorrow, and partly cloudy, 73 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together.
This report is sponsored by Juicy Juice. No matter what the day brings, count on Juicy Juice for the good stuff. Give kids the nutrients of real 100% fruit juice to help them conquer the day with no sugar added and no artificial sweeteners. Find Juicy Juice at your favorite local grocery retailer. Info at juicyjuice.com.
Summer of 93, 76 days over 100. Summer of 23, the hottest on record.
We can't change the weather, but we can change your comfort.
Alaskan AC introduces the Grizzly.
The only air conditioner built for Arizona summers.
It'll claw down hot temps.
The Grizzly.
This is getting intense.
It eats Arizona summers for breakfast.
Then it spits them out at lunch.
Wait a second.
The Grizzly claws the competition.
Tears them apart.
Do another one.
Pounces on heat like it's a salmon spawning and rips it apart.
Like a salmon
Then
spawning?
it takes a pirate sword and stabs high temperatures.
Hold it.
Aw, it was just getting good.
Folks, we designed a new air conditioner made to handle the heat and dust of Arizona summers. We call it the Grizzly.
Yeah.
Take it easy. It's tough as a grizzly, but gentle on your budget.
That pirate sword?
Before summer gets blazing, learn more about the Grizzly at AlaskanAC.com.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog, because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain Cold Refreshment made to chill.
2023 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly. Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ENERGY to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ENERGY to 321-321. That's ENERGY to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness. Contact Tax Relief Helpers for details and restrictions.
Attention, anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, or other hostile measures by the IRS. Call Tax Relief Helpers right now at 800-539-5094. Tax Relief Helpers will provide you the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-539-5094 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, or other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-539-5094. 800-539-5094. 800-539-5094.
This just in, Goodfellas AC is matching up to $2,000 on federal tax credit.
Whoa, seriously? This is unbelievable. I gotta call Floyd at Goodfellas. Hello, Goodfellas. Lloyd speaking.
Is it true about the $2,000?
It sure is. Homeowners like you may qualify for a 30% federal tax credit up to $2,000 on qualifying heat pumps. And Goodfellas will match the tax credit dollar for dollar up to $2,000. Good service, good prices, Goodfellas.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290. It's time for your Arizona Insiders.
Oh, sweet.
Each weekday, Wildcats Radio 1290 brings you all the latest news and opinions of U of A basketball. So bear down, Tucson, and let's talk Arizona basketball. Our Arizona Insiders are brought to you by Coors Light, official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
All right, after 2 weeks in Las Vegas, we are staying home this week, but the man that never stays home is Brian Jeffries. He goes everywhere where the Wildcats are, and they are in Salt Lake City for the opening of the NCAA Tournament 2024 against Long Beach State. And Brian joins us right now. And Brian, when you look at this game, obviously some interesting storylines with the Dan Monson and Tommy Lloyd connection. I don't know if you were in Dan Monson's press conference today, but apparently it was a laugh fest with all the things that he threw out there. This is going to be a fun one. Obviously, those two guys aren't going to play, but it's always fun when you have coaches, I think, that have a relationship with each other, facing off against, having their teams face off against each other at this level.
Yeah, these two guys have known each other for a long time, and of course the story is that Dan Monson hired Tommy Lloyd at Gonzaga as a graduate assistant, and before Tommy even got to Spokane, Dan Monson left to be the head coach at Minnesota, and then Mark Few took over at Gonzaga and called Dan and said, "Who's this guy that you hired as a GA?" And he kept Tommy, and the rest is history. And so, yeah, it goes back to that, very time in history, and they've stayed very close. In fact, the Lloyds, the Monsons, and the Fews all had dinner together last night here in Salt Lake City, and so. It is, and I know there's some teams and some guys, Tommy would rather not play, and this is one of them. I mean, he puts that all aside tomorrow, of course, but when you have a good friend on the opposite bench, I mean, there's some emotions there. But both these guys will be ready to go and have their teams ready to go, and they're very similar styles. In fact, Dan Monson was saying this afternoon that what do they do when they're playing their best, and he described pretty much what Arizona does, and that is get the ball up court, take a quick shot, a good shot if it's open, and then get back and play pressure defense. And so I think it's going to be a very entertaining game tomorrow. And there's a lot of experience on both sides. And so I don't think that this is going to be a mismatch by any means.
All right, so I'll ask you then, Brian, because obviously you've done a lot of preparation. You've looked at this Long Beach State team. The question that we asked the folks earlier in the week on Monday, does this 15 seed Long Beach State scare you more or less than last year's 15 seed in Princeton?
Well, David, I look at it differently than a lot of people. I never think that there's a easy game. I've never seen Arizona play an opponent in the NCAA tournament where I said, "Oh, okay, well, this is going to be a cakewalk, and you're going to go out and win it without any problem." I mean, there's been obviously some games where they have won easily. Once you throw the ball up and you get started, you kind of get a better feel for it. Last year Princeton was an experienced team, a very well coached team, a team that ran a particular style that Arizona did match up well with. And now this year they're facing a very good, very well coached team, a team with a lot of experience, but a team that runs a very similar style to them. So in that case, you would say, well, gee, maybe that's the kind of team Arizona can beat. But I just don't think you ever take anything for granted. I learned that a long time ago. I remember the first time I went to the Final Four with Arizona back in 1988, and I mean, it's kind of a silly story, but I didn't buy any souvenirs because I thought, well, I'll just get them when I'm here next year, not realizing that you don't get to go every year. And that was an early lesson that it's extremely difficult just to get to this point, let alone try and win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games.
Okay, so then I got to follow that up. So what was when you eventually did get back? What was it? I guess maybe 4 years later. What did you buy?
Oh, I bought everything then. In fact, I bought everything for the staff. I took orders. I couldn't take it all on the plane. I went down to the post office and shipped stuff back because then ever since then, of course, I've got everything from everywhere except Kansas City. I think I might have a T-shirt that they gave us, and that might be about it.
Oh, so then, because a lot of people were doing this in Vegas the last 2 weeks, I didn't do it just because I guess I'm not kind of really sentimental like that, but a lot of people were buying Pac-12 shirts. Did you buy a Pac-12 shirt last week?
I did not. I've got lots of Pac-12 stuff,
okay.
And in some cases, David, being there for that last one, it was not one of those memories I guess I wanted to keep. I've got plenty of stuff that if I want to go back and remember it, I will. But that was, to me, it was more of a sad occasion than it was one that you want to cherish.
Yeah. Brian Jeffries is joining us. He is the voice of the Arizona Wildcats. He and Ryan Hansen will call the game tomorrow. It's an early start, 11 a.m. It'll be 12 o'clock in Salt Lake City. The biggest concern, obviously, that we all have is the sudden cold shooting by Caleb Love. He's shooting 21% in the last 3 games, Brian. What are you seeing that teams are doing to make it more difficult for him to be comfortable when he wants to shoot the basketball?
Well, I don't know if there's anything that you could say that's similar. I think that teams are just concentrating. Anytime you've got the leading scorer on the other team, that's the guy you want to slow down. Marcus Sahonis is the leading scorer for Long Beach State, so guess what? I mean, Tommy Lloyd and the staff has spent some extra time saying that we cannot allow this guy to get open looks. And so I think in Caleb's case, it's the same. We've seen it pretty much the latter half of the season where teams will concentrate their defense on him and see what they can do to slow him down. And, Caleb's, I don't know if you want to call him a streak shooter or not, but he needs to hit a couple early buckets. And once he gets going, he's very difficult to corral. So I think it's important that he gets off to a good start. Somebody asked Tommy Lloyd in the press conference today about that very subject, and he told Caleb, hey, look, you're a great player. I mean, you just keep doing what you're doing. You don't think about it too much. I think that's one problem is that a guy gets in a slump and he starts thinking, and then, you can't get out of that. So I think at this stage of his career and knowing Caleb and the way I do over the last 9 months since he arrived on campus, I think the guy's got plenty of confidence. I don't think that he's going to back off. One thing I do like about Caleb is that if you take a look at some of his games here over the last, I'd say last month, maybe a little longer the season, where he has actually taken fewer shots. And I think a lot of that has to do with just him, being a guy that has confidence.
Right. I mean, yeah, you mentioned that. He's took 11 shots the last game, 13 and 10 and 10. Those are his shot totals the last 4 games, and that's coming off the 4 before that when he took 19, 12, 19, and 20. So almost half a drop off there in terms of the shots that he's taken, 4 to 4 right there.
Yeah.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that is? Is that him trying to maybe facilitate more, or just obviously in the the game against USC, the second USC, we saw the bench step up and was able to hit some of those shots that maybe he wasn't making and Kylan wasn't making.
No, I think you're correct in the first assumption there, and that is that if he sees that teams are defending him well, he's not afraid to give up the ball and make sure that everybody else gets involved, and be it assists or just not taking as many shots. I think that's one thing that I think he's grown up a lot this year, because you take a look at what he did at North Carolina. He took a lot of shots at North Carolina. I know that was one of the things that was written about when he came to Arizona is, hey, this guy takes too many shots, and he hasn't done that all season long since he's been in a Wildcat uniform. But I think more closely here in the last few weeks that he knows that he has got some great teammates that can fill the basket up. It doesn't have to be him every night, and I think that's one thing that has stood out about his game is that I don't know if it doesn't necessarily mean that because he hasn't been shooting the ball well. I just think that he's more conscious of the fact that he doesn't have to be the guy every night. He still loves to, when the game's on the line, he still likes to be that guy. But I think through the course of the 40 minutes, he's certainly willing to let other guys, take part because, that's why this is such a well-rounded team. And, other than Kylan Boswell, who I think is right under 10 points right now, they've got, 4 guys in double figures. And for a lot of the season, Kylan's been over 10 points a game. And, you have 5 guys in double figures. That tells you you've got great balance.
Brian Jeffries joining us, the voice of the Wildcats. He'll be on the call for the NCAA Tournament and the Wildcats in Long Beach State tomorrow. Tip-off at 11 o'clock. Our coverage will start at 7 with the Meridian Wealth Management Countdown to Tip-Off show. Brian, obviously basketball is much like football. We've got the postseason going on, but the transfer portal is open. I know before Jed Fish left here, one of the things he said is we've got to figure out this clock. We cannot have the transfer portal starting to open while we're still trying to compete and win championships. And that's kind of what we're dealing with now on the basketball side as well. Are you a believer that we've got to figure out how to stuff all of that after, if we're going to make this more of a professional environment with NIL and all that and the transfer portal, then the transactional part of college basketball and college football needs to start after the actual season is completely over.
Oh, I fully agree, and I don't understand why it doesn't. Maybe somebody's got an explanation, and I'm not aware of it. I didn't even realize until yesterday that the portal for basketball had opened up. It's silly. You've got a kid from North Carolina State who goes in the portal on the first minute it's open, and his team's in the NCAA tournament. It's just, that's insane. Yeah. I don't know, why they've allowed that. I can't believe that there's any coach in America that thinks that's a good idea. So why it started, I don't know. They've got to change. It's got to be changed. That's crazy.
Yeah. Obviously today was practice day. What sense did you get being at the practice? The feel of the team. Sometimes you can read units. Sometimes it's hard to. But what did you get a sense of the club at the open practice today?
Well, they actually have 2 practices today. They have the open practice. They're on the court for 40 minutes, and it's really a glorified shoot-around. Right. Arizona actually ran a few more drills than the other teams today, and it wasn't anything specific geared to the game tomorrow. It was simply a chance to get used to the court and get their legs loose and everything. Then after their 40 minutes today, and of course they had some media obligations as well, which took place before practice. Then they bust up to the University of Utah where they had a closed practice today, and that's when they went through the game plan for tomorrow. And nothing really surprises you in terms of what they got set for tomorrow. But in terms of the mood, most of these guys, have been through this before. Jaden Bradley was there with Alabama last year. There was a lot of talk today about Caleb Love at North Carolina, Keyshawn Johnson at San Diego State, the experience they've had. Umar Ballo's been in the NCAA tournament with 2 different teams now. And so other than the freshmen, these guys have been through this before, and they've, I think, really taken a business approach to this. And I think they understand that they have a chance to go very deep in this if they play their best. And maybe that's the best way to put it. They look like they've got a good business look on their face, which is what I like. They weren't goofing off today. Some of the teams went out there, and I'm not saying that that's going to be an indication how they play tomorrow. I'm just saying watching some of the teams practice today they were just kind of having fun out there. Arizona seemed the more business-like team in their open practice today, and certainly in the closed one as well. So I'll look at that and say it's a good sign going in.
All right, Brian, 11 o'clock tip-off on Thursday, our time, 12 noon for you. Have a great call with Ryan.
All right. Thanks, David. See you.
Brian Jeffries with Ryan Hansen. You'll hear it right here on Wildcats Radio 1290. Our coverage begins at 7 a.m. with the Meridian Wealth Management Countdown to Tip-Off show.
Thanks to Coors Light for bringing you today's Arizona Insiders on Wildcats Radio 1290. Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
All right, a lot coming up for you today. We're going to talk with Corey Williams, Arizona basketball class of 1996. We'll get Corey's thoughts on this ball game. He had a chance to see Long Beach State extensively last week in suburban Las Vegas at the Big West Tournament, as he called that a number of those games on the ESPN platform. So you will hear from him. Also, we'll have the U of A and men's and women's press conferences coming up for you, as well as what Dan Monson had to say. Mr. Funny Man today. Dan Monson got nothing to lose. They've indicated, of course, people are asking this. Long Beach State, are you considering maybe reversing this decision? The athletic director said, no, we are not thinking about reversing our decision to end our relationship with Dan Monson. So Dan is going out feeling real good about getting his team to the NCAA tournament and one last run with the beach. So you'll hear what he had to say about that. Cricket gets you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. With collisions 22nd and Craycroft and 22nd Street, Broadway east of Wilmont clearing. Some busy traffic picking up on westbound Ajo at Mission, also westbound Speedway at I-10. And 50 the overnight low, sunny, 77 tomorrow and 73 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Juicy Juice. Juicy Juice is 100% juice, which means no sugar added, no high fructose corn syrup, and no artificial sweeteners. Kids love the full fruit flavors, and you'll love knowing you can count on Juicy Juice for the good stuff. Find Juicy Juice at your favorite local grocery retailer. Info at juicyjuice.com.
Sean Furrier for Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. Spring is on its way to southern Arizona, and while we're hoping for a few more weeks of mild weather, we know extreme heat comes next. So right now is the time to get your car or truck road trip ready. And with 14 convenient locations, Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care is the place. Not sure about your car's air conditioner? Need to check out that light on your dashboard? Or make sure your battery can make it through another summer? Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care is here to help. With decades of experience here in Arizona and dozens of top shop awards for tires and automotive maintenance. And right now, save big on the brands you love, like Michelin, and get big rebates like $100 back on Cooper tires. Plus, buy 3, get 1 free on Cooper's new Pro Control Series tires. You can stack on even more savings when you pay with your Jack Furrier card. Check out jackfurriers.com for all the promotions and details, and even more money-saving coupons on top of our already low prices. Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care since 1960, here to get you there.
You know it, your neighbors know it, and let's face it, the mailman knows it too. Your yard just isn't what it used to be, but thankfully, Dorado Rock Materials can get you, well, your yard anyway, back to what it once was, and even better. Dorado Rock Materials has just what your yard needs, from decorative rock to boulders and everything in between, brought right to you. And if you need help spreading it, we can help with that too. Dorado Rock Materials. The right service, the right product, the right price.
Summer of 93, 76 days over 100. Summer of 23, the hottest on record.
We can't change the weather, but we can change your comfort.
Alaskan AC introduces the Grizzly.
The only air conditioner built for Arizona summers.
It'll claw down hot temps.
The Grizzly.
This is getting intense.
It eats Arizona summers for breakfast.
Then it spits them out at lunch.
Wait a second.
The Grizzly claws the competition.
Tears them apart.
Do another one.
Pounces on heat like it's a salmon spawning and rips it apart.
Like a salmon spawning?
Then it takes a pirate sword and stabs high temperatures.
Hold it.
Aw, it was just getting good.
Folks, we designed a new air conditioner made to handle the heat and dust of Arizona summers. We call it the Grizzly.
Yeah.
Take it easy. It's tough as a grizzly, but gentle on your budget.
That pirate sword?
Before summer gets blazing, learn more about the Grizzly at AlaskanAC.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Tucson area attorneys. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only. CordellCordell.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. I knew we could not put off getting life insurance. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $40 a month. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $18 a month.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-452-5050 or go to SelectQuote.com now. That's 1-800-452-5050. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
It's no contest, Tucson. You're listening to the home of the Arizona Wildcats. That's why 1290 runs this town. This is the one and only home of your Arizona Wildcats.
And you know this, man.
We are Wildcats Radio 1290. DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number for you to get in on the program today. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. We mentioned it was press conference day in both Salt Lake City and Storrs, Connecticut, where the Arizona men's and women's basketball teams are preparing to begin their runs in the NCAA tournament. Both teams will play tomorrow. The fellas at 11 a.m. Tucson time. The ladies at 4 p.m. here in Arizona. And we'll be getting you prepared for both of those contests. Don't forget, though, the women's games you can listen during the NCAA tournament. Those games will be on Freedom 1400 KTUC. Freedom 1400 KTUC. So head on over there. Our coverage will begin over there at 3:45 with Derek Palmer on Thursday.
High of 37, low of 21.
Ooh.
Isn't this March? Like, what's up, Storrs? You guys need some help up there?
It was cold. That a lot of people were tweeting about that.
Today's high is 48. Tomorrow's high is 37.
Oh, gosh.
That's the high in Storrs.
Good thing they're playing inside, right? All right, so let's hear from Tommy Lloyd, the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats, as he addressed the media today in Salt Lake City.
All right, well, it's good to see everybody. Excited to be here and, have lots of great memories playing in Salt Lake in the NCAA tournament over the years. So, here we go.
Yeah, Tommy, Steve Rivera, allsportstucson.com. Was basketball never, ever not going to be in your future as a kid or whenever?
Well, I mean, I think it always was. I fell in love with the game at a young age. And, to be honest with you, I kind of fell in love with coaching at a young age, and of course, like all young guys, I probably thought I was going to play in the NBA. And then, then I kept playing and realized I wasn't close to good enough. So the coaching bug, really hit me early. And I had I was just, like a lot of kids that get into coaching, you're really influenced by your coaches when you're younger. And I had a lot of great coaches, from Little League and youth basketball and, grew up in a small town. So that made a real impact on me. So, yeah, I think basketball, me and coaching were something that was probably always going to be together.
John Kuhn, Associated Press. Coach Monson earlier talked about how you guys went out for pizza and had a nice time together. What was it like being out with him, being able to catch up with him, and what kind of influence has he had on just kind of the direction of your coaching career?
Well, I never actually worked for Coach Monson, because he'd kind of given me the opportunity, then he hightailed to Minnesota, and then I was kind of, left there, and then Mark Few inherited me. So, he's a great guy. I mean, we have a ton of fun together. I mean, he's somebody that, you're always going to smile and laugh when you're with, and I know he's going through a tough time. But he's handling it with an incredible grace, and we just, I think he's thankful for all the opportunities he's had and the relationships he's made in this business, and I think we all know it can be a tough business, and there's another side to it, and unfortunately, he's going through that right now.
Coach Hayden Silly, Arizona PBS. It's nice to meet you.
Hey.
I wanted to ask about Keyshawn and the experience he brings from San Diego State last year, being in the national championship game. Was there any advice that he gave to any one of the players, or maybe even yourself or your coaching staff, about getting to that point?
Yeah, we're fortunate. We have a lot of guys have their own experiences, with the tournament. Me, Coach Rob, obviously Keyshawn, Caleb, even Umar, they've all been part of those runs. And, Keyshawn, he has been very vocal, and I think his message to the guys is, you don't ever assume anything, and it's literally a one game at a time approach. And, you got to come out and, be willing to lay it on the line in that one game. And so that's been his message to the guys, which I think is, it's simple, but it's beautiful because it's very true.
Tommy, Steve Rivera, allsportstucson.com. What do you talk or say to Caleb? He's in this little slump. Do you tell him to shoot yourself out of it? Just continue to play what you play? What do you say to him?
Well, you're a great player, and you're fine. He's a player like him that is a scorer. They've had these stuff's happened to him before in their career, so they know how to respond. And there's no guarantee that he's going to play really well tomorrow, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did. And I think he's in a good way. He's had a good approach all week, and now we need to get to noon tomorrow and get out on the court, and he needs just to let it rip.
John Kuhn, Associated Press. You look at guys like Keyshawn and Caleb who had those Final Four runs with their past teams. What has that experience done for Arizona in terms of helping you guys be successful this season, prepare for the postseason? How much does their leadership matter to you guys?
It matters a ton. First off, they were significant contributors to teams that made it to the championship game. So that tells you they're really good players. And, it takes really good players to have great seasons, and they've been awesome all year. My only regret is that I only get to coach them 1 year, because I've loved coaching them, and they're both just awesome dudes, and they're a joy to be around every day. They bring it every day. So it's been a ton of fun with them, and their experience has been significant, to our success.
Austin Getz, KHQ TV in Spokane. You were talking about your relationship with Dan. What is it like when the world of basketball brings you also together with Mark and that relationship?
Well, we're genuine friends. More than I think our friendships are before any professional relationships we have, and then our wives are friends. Our kids are best friends, more like cousins than friends. So. I know all our kids were really excited. They were all together last night, and so it's fun. It brings a smile to our face because, that's what our summers are like. Our summers, everyone at the lake together, hanging out, and so it just comes really easy for us to be around each other, and I'm grateful for what those two have meant to me.
Tommy, Dan wanted us to let you know that he's going to run the Princeton offense.
Yeah. He told me that 50 times last night.
What was your reaation? Because he's obviously joking.
Yeah. Well, I just thought it would be great to see some semblance of offense. So, hey, listen, Dan's a veteran, and I think he knows this opportunity he has, and I have no doubt that his team's going to come out, ready to play with a spirited effort tomorrow.
Coach, you were there for so many years at Gonzaga, making the run to the tournament every year, and now you're a head coach, kind of making a similar streak. Do you have a different appreciation for it now that you're a head coach, or has your view on it changed since being a head coach?
I definitely have an appreciation for it. I mean, I don't know if it's different. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I think what we do is hard. And I know we're open for public scrutiny, all that stuff. That's fine, but like these jobs are hard, and they're hard on your family. And you literally have a 24/7 all-consuming job that it's tough to get away from. And I think one of the greatest gifts Coach Few ever gave me was, he made me feel like an owner. I didn't feel like just an assistant coach there. I felt like, I was in ownership with him of the program. So I felt, the importance of it, and, the agony of defeats and all that stuff. And I know, hey, and now it's probably, magnified a little bit for me. So I definitely have an appreciation, for what he's had to go through all those years when I was, supporting him. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. I mean, it's awesome. I love every second of it, but it's not easy. And I think, just being able to have this opportunity, being my third year as a head coach, you're like, wow, this guy's done it for 25 years, and Coach Monson's done it for 27 years. I couldn't imagine. So hopefully I can get to that number someday, but yeah, it's a lot.
Jason Chair, Wildcat Authority. Coach, obviously we know what happened last year and all that. How do you deal with maybe an increased pressure on the guys because of that?
There's no increased pressure. I mean, you could fabricate, manufacture anything you want. We got a 40-minute basketball game tomorrow against another team that's a worthy opponent. We got to come out and play. I mean, there's no, if we're distracted by what happened last year, then, then maybe we haven't done a good enough job focusing on what we need to do this year.
Brian Peterson with AZ Desert Swarm. When you had Umar Ballo at Gonzaga, you redshirted him the first year, wasn't ready. Limited role that second year, gets into a couple late minutes of an NCAA tournament game. Could you see at that point the potential of a fifth year? Now he's a guy 12 out of 13 double-doubles. I mean,
no. I mean, I couldn't see that. I couldn't see myself being the head coach at Arizona. There's a lot of things, when you go back to when we first had Umar at Gonzaga. And, I'm just really proud of him. I'm really proud of how far he's come. I think those are the stories that need to be celebrated in college basketball these days, because, that to me, that's the essence of what this sport has been about. Kids, transitioning from high school to becoming an adult, dealing with adversity, growing, having their own experiences. And Umar's, really stared those down and overcome a lot. I mean, there were some dark days, that last year at Gonzaga. I mean, he got in a pretty tough spot. He wasn't a happy person. And, for us to get the opportunity to come down to Arizona, is, I think, been really impactful on his life, and I know he's been really impactful on my life. And so I love where he's at, and I'm grateful that he's a significant contributor to a really good Arizona team.
Coach, this may be a silly question, I don't know, but Dan was talking about his relationships with the players. Few does. You've been adamant. A lot of times we talk to you about how special it is in your relationship with guys like Umar and all that. Was there someone that taught you the importance of that relationship, or is that something you kind of just...
Well, I mean, it's probably a lot how you were raised, I mean, I've always been a relationship person. I've always enjoyed other people's successes, so I just, when I started coaching, at Gonzaga, I was young, and I could kind of still get out there with the guys a little bit, and I just realized really early that, these relationships are really valuable for me, and they're really impactful on the guys to have a coach that, is willing to put their arm around them and love them like a brother. So, I mean, I think, part of it's just, basically how you're wired with your personality, but more importantly, you want these relationships to be authentic and organic, but you also want to be intentional, because, what I found is as you get busier in life, and your own kids get older, it's hard to manage a lot of relationships, and so you have to be intentional with the effort and energy you put towards your players, because it's really important, and I don't ever want to lose that or forget that.
All right, that is Tommy Lloyd, the head coach of your Arizona Wildcats, talking today in Salt Lake City at his press conference. Coming up, we will hear from Umar Ballo, and we will also hear from Pella Larson. Keyshawn Johnson spoke with Ryan Hansen from the Arizona Wildcats Learfield Radio Network. Also, Dia Barnes, Helena Puello, and Esmeri Martinez from the women's side, Arizona and Auburn. The game in the first 4 to 11 seeds will square off for the opportunity to advance to face Syracuse. A lot still in store for you. We want to hear from you as well over the course of the next 2 hours. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Call us or text us, or get in on our app as well. You can lots of different ways that you can communicate with our program. It's DK on the Sports Tip, along with JW Madden and Cricket. I'm David Kelly. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Earlier collisions clearing 22nd Street and Craycroft, also Broadway east of Wilmot. Some busy traffic at Country Club and Grant, mostly on northbound. Country Club approaching and passing Grant Road to stay left to get you by. You could save time using Tucson Boulevard instead. The low 50 and sunny, 77 tomorrow, 72 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Juicy Juice. No matter what the day brings, count on Juicy Juice for the good stuff. Give kids the nutrients of real 100% fruit juice to help them conquer the day with no sugar added and no artificial sweeteners. Find Juicy Juice at your favorite local grocery retailer. Info at juicyjuice.com.
Desperate buyers have created tremendous opportunity for sellers. If you've had the slightest thought of selling your home, it's time to call Sean Poston with the Poston Results Team at Keller Williams, Southern Arizona. Why choose the Poston Results Team? Past performance, more money in your pocket, over a 65% referral rate, an incredible Poston Results Team staff, and most important, communication, because you and your home matter. The Poston Results Team. When buying and selling really mattered, go to TucsonHomeValues.com. That's TucsonHomeValues with an S.com.
Frog and Firkin, a standout among the bars and restaurants in the University area. Frog and Firkin does what very few pubs can, combine a festive atmosphere and great beer with a menu that could stand on its own in any restaurant setting. A sports enthusiast dream with over 30 TVs, 30 beers on tap, and over 100 import and domestic bottles. Daily drink and food specials, and the kitchen is serving until 10. A standout in the University area. Frog and Firkin. Eat local, support local. frogandfirkin.com.
Summer of 93, 76 days over 100. Summer of 23, the hottest on record.
We can't change the weather, but we can change your comfort.
Alaskan AC introduces the Grizzly.
The only air conditioner built for Arizona summers.
It'll claw down hot temps.
The Grizzly.
This is getting intense.
It eats Arizona summers for breakfast.
Then it spits them out at lunch.
Wait a second.
The Grizzly claws the competition.
Tears them apart. Do another one.
Pounces on heat like it's a salmon spawning and rips it apart.
Like a salmon spawning?
Then it takes a pirate sword and stabs high temperatures.
Hold it.
Aw, it was just getting good.
Folks, we designed a new air conditioner made to handle the heat and dust of Arizona summers. We call it the Grizzly.
Yeah.
Take it easy. It's tough as a grizzly, but gentle on your budget.
That pirate sword?
Before summer gets blazing, learn more about the Grizzly at AlaskanAC.com.
Caruso's, a Tucson tradition since 1938, located on historic 4th Avenue. For 4 generations, Caruso's handmade sauce has been prepared with love by a family member, using only the best ingredients. Enjoy specialty Italian dishes like lasagna al forno, chicken tetrazzini, real Italian sausages, spectacular pizza, as well as many vegetarian options. Caruso's offers outdoor dining on their garden patio, with indoor dining also available. Open Tuesday through Sunday, with all your favorites available for takeout. For more information, call 520-624-5765 or visit their website at carusositalian.com.
Want to support a nonprofit that helps youth and adults in the most challenging moments of their lives and save hundreds of dollars on your Arizona taxes? Donate to Intermountain today and receive a dollar-for-dollar tax credit and support their work for their more than 20,000 at-risk individuals each year. To make your gift and for more information, visit intermountaincenters.org. Intermountain, serving Arizona's health need for 50 years.
Why does 1290 run this town?
It's simple. 1290 is the only radio station that can bring you Arizona football, men's basketball, and baseball. Scoreboard 1290.
This is the home of the Wildcats.
This is Wildcats Radio 1290. KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We are the sports station that Tucson turns to for all the latest news when it comes to Arizona men's basketball, along with all the play-by-play action. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
From the what?
Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
It is basketball time in Tucson. Arizona men's and women's basketball teams opening up the NCAA tournament on Thursday. Pima women's and men's basketball teams competing in their national tournaments in Illinois and Michigan, respectively. Things did not go well, unfortunately, for the Pima men. In their first game, they entered the Division II NJCAA National Tournament as a number 9 seed, but got blown out by 24 points by Des Moines area, 98-74. Des Moines was the team putting up 100 points in that ball game. Coenje Gonzalez scored 18 points for Pima. Dylan Baker had 14. Gabe Oldham, who we spoke to last week, had 14 points. Wildcats, or I should say Aztecs, just did not shoot the 3 very well. They made just 3 of 15 in that game, and they are beaten by 28 points. Des Moines area shot 51% from the field in that game to win by 24. So the fellas dropped down to the consolation round. They will play tomorrow. So they'll be in action tomorrow as well against Hocking, which is a junior college a little bit north of Athens, Ohio. University of Ohio is where Athens is, and Hocking is about, a half an hour north of that. So that game will be tomorrow. The ladies, you might remember we told you they won their first game as a 13 seed, but then they lost their second game to number 4 seed Baltimore County Essex. Lost that game 80-74. That was yesterday. 20 points for Rory Hoffmeyer. We spoke with her last week. She had 8 of 15, also had 10 rebounds in that game. Riley Wall had 12. So they played the number 4 seed tight, but fell. The ladies came back and played again today in the 7th place bracket now, or 7th place constellation, as they call it. And they won today over Parkland, which is in Champaign, Illinois. 79-66. The ladies win today. 21 points by Riley Wall. She had 7 of 18 from the field. 17 for Dominique Acosta. Dominique had 13 rebounds to go along with her 17 points. 15 points for Gabby Lopez. 10 off the bench for Jordan Joe. She hit a pair of threes. So the ladies will now play in the 7th place semifinals on Friday. So they've got potentially 2 more games to play. If they win them both, they'll finish 3-1 there and finish in 7th place overall in Division II. So we'll keep you up to date on everything happening with Pima Community College as well as they're in their national tournaments. The men, you heard from Tommy Lloyd a little bit earlier. Anything that Tommy said, J-Dub, that stood out to you, kind of obviously talking about what we were talking about, Caleb Love, who is what I think I said 7 for 34, 7 for his last 34, shooting 21% over the last 3 games.
Yeah.
Not ideal time to have a shooting slump.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to go very far if he doesn't figure out a way to start making baskets.
I think Tommy and Brian, who you just had on as well, both said more or less the same thing, which is, the more you're thinking about not shooting well, the more you don't shoot well, right? It's like a self-perpetuating kind of loop. So you just have to shake it off. You've practiced. It's really about the mechanics and the confidence when you let the shot go. So you practice your shooting mechanics your whole life. Taking those shots, if you hesitate and second guess, we saw a stretch earlier this year with Kylan Boswell, DK, where he just wasn't taking shots. He was second guessing himself. You can't do that this time of year. You just have to trust the process, is something you hear people say all the time. All the work you've done your entire life to get to this point, I don't think there's anything that you don't want to keep any kind of struggles in your head. That's why the whole conversation is always about next game. We're not worried about what happened just now. And the other big thing I took away from Coach Lloyd was just the whole interpersonal relationships thing, because, it's tough. You always hear the term players coach, and it's tough to define that. You see a lot of players who do love playing for their coach at both this level and the next level. But what he said there about how it's a 24/7 job. I mean, you've always heard stories about guys, getting 2-3 hours sleep, the maniacs of college basketball coaching, head coaching life, and how much time it takes away. Once you get into that deep, it's hard to maintain a lot of those personal relationships. So having players that you really care about, not just as obviously basketball players, but as people, and that path that they're taking in life as young men in this case, I think I really like what he said there. That was probably my favorite thing that I took away. And obviously him ribbing Coach Monson for saying that they might run a Princeton, and him saying, well, at least that's better than no offense.
Yeah,
I love that too.
That was
great.
the funniest thing I think I heard. But if you thought Tommy was funny, wait till you hear Dan Monson. He was hilarious today. He's coming up later in this hour. Keyshawn Johnson, honorable mention all defensive team for the Pac-12 Conference, averaging 12 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, shooting 39% from 3, all career highs for him. Had a chance to hear from him today as Ryan Hansen caught up with Keyshawn Johnson.
The Arizona Wildcats have descended upon Salt Lake City for their first round matchup. Arizona taking on Long Beach State. We've got Keyshawn Johnson here. Key, Arizona's built for this moment. Now you have all assembled and brought it here. What's the mindset for Arizona coming in?
The mindset was taking one game at a time in advance, so everybody with Arizona basketball in the boat.
Things didn't go exactly how you planned in the Pac-12 tournament. What was practice like now coming off of a loss?
Practice is just great about it. You got to have short-term memory loss. The cuff loss to Lawrence, it came with really worry about that. But glad we got one out early. Now we got to go and see this from here.
How do you and Caleb kind of describe this feeling, what it takes to get to the next round for those guys that haven't had this experience?
Man, we say it all the time. And Monson takes everything. It takes luck, health, faith in each other, faith in whatever you believe in, and everything. So we just got to stay hard together in this, get it done.
I know you got some family here. What does that mean to you to have your family support? They've been at a lot of your games, if not all of them, Sharon.
It's a blessing to have family. Always, just when you look into the crowd before the game, after the game, just to know that you're fighting for something bigger than just yourself. Man.
As you've seen film on Long Beach State, what's some of your first impressions on the first round matchup?
First impression is that they're a great team. They're aggressive. They got a lot of strengths on the court. Them being a mid-major program, they did a great job to make it here. Nobody make it here off a fluke.
Arizona, when you are right, describe in a short minute. What does that look like when Arizona's right?
When Arizona's right, I mean we having fun playing on the court. When there's fast breaks, we have each other back on the defensive end. And we just having fun all around, diving on the floor, picking each other up, whatever the case may be, just showing Arizona culture.
All right, thanks, Keyshawn. Good luck tomorrow. Arizona Wildcat fans in Salt Lake City, let's make it McHale North like they do at the Pac-12 tournament. Wildcats in the NCAA tournament. Here we go. Let's get it.
Let's get it, as Keyshawn said. Let's get it for sure. Looking forward to kind of seeing the influence that he had. Again, these are some experienced guys, as J-Dub was saying. You got 2 guys that have been there in terms of the final that have played in it. Umar has been on a team that was there. Experience can sometimes win the day in this particular instance.
The big thing about experience is you don't make too much of the moment. And just a relative analogy, DK, like if there's a bad segment of the show because the phone lines go down, we have a VIP guest who's supposed to call in, our phones, we have technical issues. Now, 2 segments later at the 3:40, you're not thinking about phones being down at 3:05. You're just thinking about what you're doing in that segment, right? You're not saying, oh, well, our phones didn't work, and unfortunately we couldn't get this VIP guest on during the first segment. Therefore, our 4th segment of the show is going to suck, right? That's not how the mentality for any job is. So the idea of basketball, you shake it off. You miss a shot, next play, get down on defense, do your thing. Now, the same goes for losing to Princeton in the first round last year. You think these guys are like, well, I better, make this shot or else all the people online are going to troll me and say you suck because you lost again. Like, that's not how it works. In that moment, you're just focused on making that shot. So big picture stuff, I think, comes after. It's really minutia. Like, if you ever hear Coach Lloyd, and clearly all the players talk just like Coach Lloyd, it's really about the next play. It's about being focused, in the moment, in that 4th segment, not thinking back to the phones being down earlier in the show. That doesn't get you through what you're doing right now.
And some interesting news today for Arizona. They got a big-time recruit committed to the program, a 6'5" wing out of Vermont Academy by the name of Josan Sanan. He picked the Wildcats over Kentucky, Kansas, UConn, Louisville, Indiana among the teams that were looking at him, and he has chosen to come to Arizona, a 5-star prospect.
5-star for next year.
So he's an actual 25, but he's going to reclassify.
That's what I'm saying. He's ranked as the number 9 currently, as the number 9 ranked recruit in the 2025 class, but as of today, he's reclassifying to the 2024 class. So we'll see how that goes. I have seen some highlights, really strong. I like his stroke. You know what I do? A lot of the highlights are pretty grainy from a lot of smaller high schools. What I usually do, DK, is quite simply watch the defense and their attention when a guy catches the ball coming off a screen. And I'll tell you what I mean by that is if you're a guard coming around off a screen and you catch the ball and you see every defender on every play similar to that fly at the person, 100% effort and energy, what that tells me is in the scout, that guy, the scout's worried about that guy as a shooter. So I have not seen the young man shoot a bunch, but I've seen a lot of defenders through the highlights I watched today and recent months fly around trying to prevent him. So really strong. I really like his physicality for his age, clearly. So we'll see. I've never one to put any kind of expectations. Oh, man, going all the way back to a guy named Deron Johnson, DK. He was from Tucson and came not too long after Sean Elliott. And I remember there was a lot of buzz around town. The next Sean Elliott's here. He's from Tucson, all that stuff. Didn't quite work out that way. And I was, I think, 16 at the time. Ever since then, I try not to put too many expectations at the feet of young men coming into the program until they get on campus and they've run around a little bit. And I've seen what they look like against high Division I level basketball players. But all intents and purposes point to him being a contributor, sooner rather than later. So really, really nice class shaping up for next year.
So we'll see. We'll kind of get an indication of where he slots. I don't know if we kind of focus on rivals here. I don't think they've reslotted him in yet to their 2024 class. So we'll kind of see maybe. Oh no, they have. They've put him in at number 25. So he is 25 now in that class, which would put him, I believe, as the highest ranked prospect now in the class for Arizona, because the next one is Carter Bryant at 32. So there you go.
Really, really good shooter, and he's got Haitian roots, and so his goal is to be the next Benedict Mathurin, who he idolized coming out. So there's a connection there. One of the reasons that he liked Arizona. You said a lot of people when they look at recruits, they look at who else is recruiting that person. So if Arizona gets a player to commit, and the other schools that offered them were, I don't want to throw people on the bus, but New Mexico State and Northern Arizona, then that's different than if it's Kentucky, North Carolina, and Kansas, if that makes sense. So yeah, really, really nice shooter, really strong body, and really looking forward to seeing what he can do next year.
So his commitment now puts Arizona number 4 overall for the class of 2024 behind Duke, Kentucky, Rutgers. Wow. Wow, Rutgers is coming back.
Rutgers
is coming back.
Just I think one player led them to that high rankings. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they got 2 5. They got 2 5 stars, 2 5 stars, 1 4, and a couple of 3s. So good on Rutgers if they're turning it around. Missouri's right there. I cannot believe Missouri went 0-18 in the SEC this past year after making the NCAA tournament a year ago. And by the way, big news for our new AD, Desiree Reed-Francois, was named NACTA's Athletics Director of the Year.
Wow.
Today.
Congrats.
So shout out to the DRF for that honor. And we'll have to next time we talk to her, we'll have to ask her about that. I'm sure she's going to be I'd be interested. Well, she can't be in both Salt Lake City and UConn. Or maybe she can if she has a really fast Learjet. She might be able to get to both games, but that would be kind of difficult.
Back to the Missouri thing. I think 18 losses and no wins.
Yeah.
You know what that says to recruits?
What's that?
Playing time.
Playing time.
You know, like that's Michigan's Fab Five, DK, did not come to Michigan all at once because they were already a top 10 team and that they thought, hey, let's go sit on the bench and learn. No, they went there because Michigan was not very good and they all knew that they were going to get a chance to potentially get in the starters' roles, what they did about halfway through the season. So.
All right, we'll talk more about this new young man, Josan Sannon, when he actually signs. He's verbally committed. And we know how that goes. Verbal commitments don't always stay strong, but if he signs, then we'll dive deeper into a little bit about who he's all about. But it is news, and we want to report you the news that he has made a verbal commitment to the University of Arizona. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, Wildcats Radio, 1290 traffic and weather together. With collisions reported Valencia near Park Avenue on Valencia to the east of Park Avenue. Tucson and Broadway and Tucson Boulevard collision involving a motorcycle with mostly eastbound backups. Travel is picking up at Ahaway and Mission. Got some slowing on northbound 6th Avenue as you approach I-10 and busy on Speedway and Grant Road, both at I-10. And for your weather overnight, 50 the low, sunny, 77 tomorrow, and 72 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio, 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Their end-to-end solution helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all year round. Schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from your Indeed dashboard. Learn more by visiting Indeed.com/credit.
Sean Furrier for Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. Spring is on its way to southern Arizona, and while we're hoping for a few more weeks of mild weather, we know extreme heat comes next. So right now is the time to get your car or truck road trip ready. And with 14 convenient locations, Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care is the place. Not sure about your car's air conditioner? Need to check out that light on your dashboard? Or make sure your battery can make it through another summer? Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care is here to help. With decades of experience here in Arizona and dozens of top shop awards for tires and automotive maintenance. And right now, save big on the brands you love, like Michelin, and get big rebates like $100 back on Cooper tires. Plus, buy 3, get 1 free on Cooper's new Pro Control Series tires. You can stack on even more savings when you pay with your Jack Furrier card. Check out jackfurriers.com for all the promotions and details, and even more money-saving coupons on top of our already low prices. Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care since 1960, here to get you there.
Whether you're preparing for a proposal, planning a getaway, or spending time with your special someone, don't let your knee, hip, and back pain become that annoying third wheel. The Good Feet Store's arch supports can help you live the life you love 2 feet at a time. And here's a bonus. They're HSA FSA eligible. Schedule your free fitting and test walk at goodfeet.com or just drop by your nearest store. Walk-ins are always welcome. Make 2024 the year of memorable moments, not aches.
At Nova Home Loans, we believe everyone deserves the opportunity to enjoy the independence that comes with home ownership. Whether you're a first-time home buyer who needs down payment assistance, have less than perfect credit, or looking to refinance, Nova has a variety of home loan programs for your unique situation. Visit novahomeloans.com or call 800-955-9125 to learn more. Not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Rates and available loan programs are subject to change without notice. NMLS 3087, BK 0902429, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Summer of 93, 76 days over 100. Summer of 23, the hottest on record.
We can't change the weather, but we can change your comfort.
Alaskan AC introduces the Grizzly.
The only air conditioner built for Arizona summers.
It'll claw down hot temps.
The Grizzly.
This is getting intense.
It eats Arizona summers for breakfast.
Then it spits them out at lunch.
Wait a second.
The Grizzly claws the competition.
Tears them apart. Do another one.
Pounces on heat like it's a salmon spawning and rips it apart.
Like a salmon spawning?
Then takes a pirate sword and stabs high temperatures.
Hold it.
Aw, it was just getting good.
Folks, we designed a new air conditioner made to handle the heat and dust of Arizona summers. We call it the Grizzly.
Yeah.
Take it easy. It's tough as a grizzly, but gentle on your budget.
That pirate sword?
Before summer gets blazing, learn more about the Grizzly at AlaskanAC.com.
You're gonna feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa.
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist and ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. In fact, we've got a text on the text groove here that we will read to you right now. It comes from Raul. It's kind of long, so bear with me. He says, "Hey, guys, glad you're covering all U of A sports, not just men's sports. Kudos for that. Was going to call in Friday after the U of A basketball game. You guys had some guys calling in saying that it's okay the U of A lost that game. It was not important or crucial because few teams have gone far in the NCAAs after winning their tournament games. Sorry, but that's just a lot of baloney. Out of their last 4 games, they've lost 2, and there's no consistency on offense or defense. I'm a loyal fan and not a hater like some of your callers say about the criticism. They should take a page out of the women's basketball team where win or lose, they're out there giving it their all. No excuses. Oh, they played zone against us, or we couldn't get good shots or some other thing. They are seasoned veterans out there. They are underachieving, at least this last part of the season. Have them scrimmage the women's team and see how they play with just 7. Just my thoughts and observations. DK, love your show. Bear down.
Counterpoint.
That's Raul.
They're also 10-2 in their last 12 games, DK, with an average margin of victory of about 17. So you want to handpick those last few games. I thought that was a very motivated Oregon team that they lost to with full strength team. And so, and number 2, I don't necessarily think I've ever heard excuses out of those guys' mouths. I think zone is just a thing, right?
Yeah.
Not to say that they shouldn't be playing better against the zone, but if somebody's asked you a question in a press conference, how come shots were hard to come by? The answer, DK, generally is they're switching zone. Like that zone that was half matchup switching into a man-to-man halfway through the possession type of thing. I think that's what I heard those answers mostly. But here's the thing. Any listener, the way it works is they're going to win or lose tomorrow, and it's on them.
Yeah.
So they're going to come out tomorrow focused. It's not about effort and energy beyond focus. focused effort and energy, being in the moment and not thinking about Princeton last year and not thinking about what you did at San Diego State, not thinking about what you did at the Tar Heels. It's about being present every single possession and focus as a team to get the job done. And that's really either going to happen or not going to happen tomorrow. You know what I mean? And that's the situation that the NCAA tournament brings out in every single team. The problem, DK, is when you have 4 seniors and 2 guys who've been to a final game and all this experience and, your coach gets a huge, money extension, all these things, and you're meant to do that expectation. And it's been 8 years, 9 years since they went to an Elite Eight.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute. It's been 20 years since they've been to a Final Four, 23 years. I get the frustrations from the fan base, and that's what being a fan is all about, because you as a fan have expectations of what you expect the team to do. But I don't see the loss in the Pac-12 semis as a, falling on your face, let's start out from scratch and figure out what's wrong with everything. I think if you look at the shooting numbers, they had exceptionally poor shooting in especially those last 2 games. And it's either going to turn around or it's not. It's as simple as that.
Indeed. Well, you want to hear something funny? Dan Monson spoke today, the head coach of the Long Beach State 49ers. And this guy had everybody in the room laughing. Let's hear from Dan Monson.
Okay, I don't have to answer anything I don't want to because I'm working for free today. So it's like you guys see the Seinfeld when George Costanza was trying to get fired and couldn't lose his job and still going to work every day, and that's me. I'm a Seinfeld episode going on right now in real life. Is it an opening statement? Was that it? What do we got going?
Yeah, well, I think you nailed it, Coach. We'll go ahead and start with questions right here, please.
Coach, Eddie Pels from AP. Well, along those lines.
Is there a storyline here I haven't noticed this week?
I'm trying to tease one out of here, but what has it been kind of Twilight Zone-y for you, or are you
Absolutely. It's been I keep saying it's worth every job I've ever had to have the experiences I've had this week with my players, with my family, with my spiritually everything. It's just been I keep using the word surreal. Twilight Zone might be part true. It's been awesome. I mean, the Monday of the decision, was the hardest thing professionally, you go through. I guess, top 2 because I went through it in Minnesota also, but professionally is different than your rest of your life, and I think separating them is hard sometimes. But then to go to the locker room and tell the players, it was super, super hard, obviously. But to see their reactions, as a parent or as a coach, you're always disciplining your kids. You're always holding them accountable. You're pushing them. And you don't really know, how they're taking it until they tell you they love you or they show you. And those guys showed me they loved me that day. And I'll never forget it. I mean, that was just all you need. And, I've reflected this week that I don't have a job, but I don't need one. I've got everything I got with my family, with my players, with my friends. It's been a life-changing week, and in a good way. And next week I got a car payment, a house payment, and I don't know how it's going to do it, but don't really care.
Down here.
Coach, Alex Still up here from KSL.com. As a Big West guy, I've been following this just incredible run for the last week or so since you guys won the Big West Tournament in Henderson. Let's kind of rewind the clock back to the Big West Tourney last week. Like when did you start to realize during the Big West Tournament run that your kids were about to do something special? Like when was it all starting to hit you?
I think it hit me Monday because I wasn't prepared for our guys to react the way they did Monday when they got the news. And I said to them, I said, look, we still have this week, and we have to, you know, respect their decision, but they also could have not given us this week. And I have a gratitude towards, you know, having this week because, you know, a lot of coaches don't, when they're done, they're done. And so let's take advantage of this week. But I said, we're in this together now. This is just us against everybody else. So if you guys need to take the day to gather, if you need to, you know, I said we were going to watch a little film and shoot today, but if you don't want to do that, great. If you want to do a little bit of it, so they said, can we get 30 minutes they just said, can we get a few minutes by ourselves? And it took about 30 minutes before they text back, and they said, we would like to watch a little film. So, you know, I go in there, and it's still, we got a couple of them that couldn't really watch film. They went into our other room, and they're still, you know, couldn't get their emotions together. And you're watching film, and you hear guys sniffling and everything. And so the first thing I said is, you know, just bonding together and this galvanizing is not going to be enough. Our defense has got to get better. We've got to be a better basketball team this week. And I said, just look at this first defensive clip, guys. I said, you know, we close out short here. I said, the guy's wide open. We don't get a contest. These are the kind of plays that would get a coach fired. And the whole room just broke up. And it just started right then. It was like, okay, you know, we're going to be all right here. And, you know, we went to practice on Tuesday, and it was terrible. And I told them afterwards, don't cry in the locker room and say that you know, this bothers you, and then come out and not practice well. Something's got to be different for us to be different. And when to answer a long question here, I guess, that Wednesday, they would come off the bus at a high school in Las Vegas, and I waited for each of them to get off the bus, and I knuckled them up, and I said, be different today. Be different today. And it was maybe our best practice of the year, and that's when I'm like, okay, we got a shot here. And it just kept growing and growing as the week went on.
Julian Minnesota, KXOY in Spokane. Dan, what do you make of the...
Go Zags.
What do you make of the connections here with Salt Lake, with you going against Tommy and Mark? What are those group texts like or text messages like?
Tommy owes me. That's the bottom line, okay? I gave him his first opportunity. Hired him. His mom knew his JC coach knew my mom, and so Walla Walla Pomeroy connection. And I promised Jeff Reinland that he could have a position when I took off. I had 3 or 4 different promises that I'd made. I think Kyle Bankhead to walk on, Scott Snyder to be the DBO, all those things. So Mark, of course, I helped him get the job, and he's new. Yeah. So about 2 weeks after I get back to Minnesota, and we're both reeling with these new jobs, and we're talking, and about halfway through the conversation, Mark says, this grad guy you got here, what's his name again, and what did you promise him? And I just laugh at that now because, you know, Tommy is Tommy, whoever he is, and one of the best coaches in America, and making enough money to buy my pizza last night. And I'm a little bit late. We get there late last night. It was the Few family and the Lloyds and us. And those are the things, as you said, you just cherish in these deals. That's above and beyond the game is the relationships. And that's something that I've reflected on this week, you know, to watch Marcy Few taping the boys and my nephew, watching the last 30 seconds of our game, coaching it, and Mark not being able to, you know, sit down and yelling at the TV. Those are precious. And last night when we go to the pizza place and we're a little bit late, Tommy tries to give me some grief. I said, Tommy, we've been putting in that Princeton office for 3 days now. It's complicated. It took a little extra time today. So.
Austin Getz with KHQ in Spokane. Coach, just Gonzaga's on this incredible run of consecutive tournaments, which started with you. Just how much pride do you take in being, you know, one of the first to make this long run and also being there in '95 as well?
The Zag father, the dog father, I gotta have a name for that, right? I gotta be, because that's my claim to fame. I can't be known as the only guy to get fired and work in the NCAA tournament for free. That's got to be my legacy, is starting that, and I'm super proud of it. You know, and my only regret is that Elite Eight run was the second year of my career, as a head coach, and I didn't realize just how special it was, or how, how hard it is. And so, for the Zag people, it's just Selection Sunday, and the NCAA tournament is part of their culture. For me, it's something that I cherish, and it's something that I'm so grateful for, because my kids, were at younger ages, at 12 years ago, the last time we were here, and for them to not just experience, but one be on my staff and one be playing for me. The only bummer is that my daughter, who's the captain of the crew team at Gonzaga, was not able to get out of practice today. I'm going to get that coach someday. No, he was awesome. He made it happen last week, but obviously this is a second week. You can't do that, but for her to be able to be there last week, and that was what was so special last week, is that I had just God looking over me or something. But before any of this happened, my parents at 90 years old, had scheduled to travel that tournament, and they hadn't been on a plane in 2 years since they went there 2 years ago. All four of my kids were there. My two sisters were there to help my parents. So as I'm waking up every morning wondering if this is my last game, I have all my family with me, and that's where it's like, okay, I don't need a job. I got everything I need right here. And it was just a great perspective week. But I'm rambling, but the Gonzaga thing is, they can't ever take that off my resume, and I'm super proud that, obviously sustaining it and what Mark has done is incredibly more difficult, and the mind-blowing part. But I was there at the beginning, and that's something that I'm super proud of.
All right, that is the head coach of the Long Beach State, The Beach, as they are known, Dan Monson, the Zag father. I like that. The guy that started it all at Gonzaga back in the late 90s. So interesting situation he's in, having been let go by Long Beach State, but will coach out the string in the NCAA tournament. All right, we're going to shift gears and talk some football coming up here. The FC Tucson side has a new manager. His name is Sebastian Pineda. He'll join us next. First, though, cricket gets you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. At Broadway and Tucson Boulevard and Broadway Boulevard, that was an earlier collision with a motorcyclist involved. 5th Street west of Rosemont, that's an apartment fire reported. And travel is picking up. It's busy for you for Ahoway and Mission for southbound and westbound travel, and more backups on southbound La Cholla at Ahoway. 50 the low, sunny, 77 tomorrow and 71 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Print Big Sale means the more you print, the more you save. Get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. Offer ends 4/6. See staples.com/print for details. Print more, save more at Staples.
Coach Tommy Lloyd here. When I need a winning strategy for my team, nothing beats knowledge and skill. That's why I recommend Right Way Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing for all your home service needs. Having personally witnessed the impact of hard work and dedication, Right Way brings the same commitment to your home's comfort. Whether it's HVAC, plumbing, or electrical, their team always delivers excellence. With a legacy of quality service since 1959, you know you're in good hands. So give your home the best. Choose Right Way Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Call or text 520-640-CATS or visit rightwayac.com.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog, because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill.
2023 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Contact
Tax Relief Helpers for details and restrictions.
Attention, anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, or other hostile measures by the IRS. Call Tax Relief Helpers right now at 800-539-5094. Tax Relief Helpers will provide you the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-539-5094 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, or other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-539-5094. 800-539-5094. 800-539-5094.
Summer of 93, 76 days over 100. Summer of 23, the hottest on record.
We can't change the weather, but we can change your comfort.
Alaskan AC introduces the Grizzly.
The only air conditioner built for Arizona summers. It'll claw down hot temps.
The Grizzly.
This is getting intense.
It eats Arizona summers for breakfast.
Then it spits them out at lunch.
Wait a second.
The Grizzly claws the competition.
Tears them apart. Do another one.
Pounces on heat like it's a salmon spawning and rips it apart.
Like a salmon spawning?
Then it takes a pirate sword and stabs high temperatures.
Hold it.
Aw, it was just getting good.
Folks, we designed a new air conditioner made to handle the heat and dust of Arizona summers. We call it the Grizzly.
Yeah.
Take it easy. It's tough as a grizzly, but gentle on your budget.
That pirate sword?
Before summer gets blazing, learn more about the Grizzly at AlaskanAC.com.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns, and here we'd have dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290. Give us a call on the line. We can talk whatever you'd like to. Arizona basketball, you got thoughts on what's coming up for the men's and the women's teams as they embark on the NCAA tournament. We are also starting to get into our spring professional seasons. The Sugar Skulls will be starting here. I believe they might actually be starting this weekend or next weekend, I think. I'll have to check the schedule on that, but I know their schedule's coming up. FC Tucson is not too long in the offing as well. The second season back on the USL League 2 level, and the side has a new manager. He joins us now. Sebastian Pineda takes over FC Tucson for this 2024 summer run in the USL League 2. He is no stranger to the FC Tucson program, though. He has been with the side for a number of years now, serving the last 2 years as the associate head coach. First of all, Sebastian, welcome. What does this mean for you to finally have your own program to control, run, and mold in the shape of football that you want to play?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. So, yeah, I'm excited. It's an exciting task for me. I've been, being a player before, wearing the jersey, and now going through different positions in the club, the academy head coach, then assistant coach when he was a pro team. Now I get the chance to be the head coach for the summer team, and it's exciting for me. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
So now you played for FC Tucson back in its original incarnation of a USL, back when it was the PDL developmental side. What was it like then as a player compared to what it's like now as a coach, and what your players are experiencing? Is it a different level of play in terms of the skill set now that players have versus when you were playing, what I guess maybe 7-8 years ago now?
Yeah. Well, I would say the biggest difference is the landscape of soccer in the country. Now you have multiple professional teams and opportunities for players to get there. Back when I was playing, there's less opportunities. So if you were trying to find a contract, you will go and play PDL. So that's not the case anymore. There's different leagues. So what I will say is that the level is still pretty high. There's still players that want to keep developing and want their chance to get a contract in all these different leagues that we have nowadays. So, yeah.
Sebastian Pineda joining us. He is the new manager for FC Tucson and second season back on USL League Two. How did this position come? Did you think this would be an opportunity that would be afforded to you at some point? Did you think it would come this quickly?
I didn't think it was going to happen this fast, but, I think I was preparing myself and talking with the club that there was always that plan for me eventually to get the opportunity. I always like to thank the club because they have given me the opportunity right now, but John Perlman and Kyle, they always trusted me and they brought me in. So it might have been a little bit quick how it happened, but I think I've been preparing myself and I feel ready for it. I'm ready to get on the adventure of the Summer League.
So now, how did you, going back to your years as a player, how did you find Tucson? Were you looking, had you played PDL before? Was that your first experience in PDL? And how did Tucson kind of come on your map?
So prior to Tucson, I played in two different things in different parts of the country with very good teams. And then a friend of mine came to the open trials and he met John Perlman at that time, and John asked about any players, so I came in and met John, and the rest is history. So yeah, it was through open tryouts, and then a friend of mine that met at that point he was a GM. So yeah, it's a funny story.
And obviously you went on and when you continued to play professionally for a few years, what was that experience like for you to have a chance to play professionally here in the United States?
Yeah, I think that. Of course, it's great. That's what you want to do when you're trying to achieve your dream of playing soccer. And I got to do it for a couple of years at that level. So that's exciting for sure. But talking, back then, FC Tucson was a platform for me to prepare myself for it. And it opened doors for me to get to the level where I wanted to be. So, yeah.
Sebastian Pineda joining us, the new manager for FC Tucson. He'll take over the side this year. In fact, Sebastian, you guys have got some tryouts coming up this weekend. Tell the folks about that, what you're looking for, and if they think they've got the talent to potentially to get on the side, what they need to do to be a part of those tryouts.
Of course. So we have this Saturday are the open tryouts early in the morning. Right after that, what I think are the best players will have an invite-only game played in the afternoon. But the idea is to give opportunity to local players. We still have a couple of roster spots that we have to fill out. But this year we have a lot of local players that play in the academy in the past year, part of the first team roster. So hopefully we can find a couple more players this Saturday that we can add to the roster from Tucson.
How would you describe the style that you're going to want to play with your club this year?
I would say it's a game model planned by the club. I think it's had it for years. The players that we're trying to bring are technical players that want to take care of the ball, dominate possession, very attractive soccer that we create a lot of chances, good 1v1 players on the wing. So I think it's a game model that is based by the club, so we recruited for that. And yeah, it's based on that. Technical players that want to have the ball and understand the tactical pace of it, and hopefully we can score a lot of goals this year.
Sebastian Pineda joining us, the new manager for FC Tucson. The season will run, obviously, during the summer months here with the USL League 2 schedule, and the young men will be coming up. So are you targeting, obviously you're having this tryout, but are you also targeting college players to come play here this summer? And maybe what schools particularly? Do you look at certain schools, or do you kind of try to cast a wide net to find the talent to make up your side this summer?
You know, it's a lot of work to get it done, but you know, being a top club around the USL too, I have the ability to go and reach out to multiple colleges all over the country and have the opportunity to speak with top players from different countries that I believe are gonna get the job done, are gonna have a good summer and just continue a legacy that the club has. But yeah, it's not easy. It's a lot of phone calls, a lot of talking with different coaches, different players, but it's a work that I really enjoy.
And Victor Verdugo is back with you as the goalkeepers coach this year. How do you guys mesh together? What's kind of cool about the two of you together and the way that you try to teach the game?
Well, I met Victor last year for the first time, and we got along pretty well from the beginning, and we got to spend time on the run and all those games. And I think that we have similar views about the game, and that helps. You know, we also connect well. Us being here from Mexico, me from Colombia, that part helped us well. Just the way that we look at players and everything. So I trust him as a goalkeeper. I know he's working hard to bring the best that we can for that position, and he also, you know, will be helping me just making decisions in games and stuff like that. I think I trust him enough at this point that we can have that relationship.
Your favorite player of all time? Who is that?
Of all time? My idol growing up was Ronaldo, the Brazilian.
Okay, Ronaldo, the Brazilian.
Correct.
Okay.
R9. Yes, sir.
R9. What did you love about him as a player?
I mean, at that point, my position was striker, and just watching clips and videos of him, just the stuff that he did on the ball, the type of goals that he was able to score, he was just unstoppable. And so I wanted to be like him, you know?
You mentioned, like, obviously that you played the striker position. What do you want from your forwards? How do you want them to play within your system?
For me, the forwards, you know, they need to understand the tactical side of it, or when we don't have the ball, what to do without it. And also, of course, when we have the ball, when they have to connect and play simple, when they have to get in the box and score the goals. You know, I think the forwards have an important role where they have to be a little bit selfish and take care of their role and their responsibility, that is score goals. So I'm expecting them to be, I will call them savage inside the 18.
You said
That's
savage?
Yes, they have to be savage inside 18.
Oh man, that is awesome. That is awesome. For you, obviously, you're working, with the USL 2 club. You've also coached on the collegiate level. You spent a number of years coaching at Duquesne. Do you find you enjoy one or the other better? Do you like this type of environment where you try to find a mix of kids from across the country to compete together and meld together for a 2-3 month cycle versus maybe a collegiate setting where you're trying to find kids that want to come to a school to stay for 4 years, and then you've got that period to try to meld them into a great team?
Well, I think I enjoy both. To be honest, of course, is you work more months of the year with the players that are in college, and you can probably implement your style and game model better with those guys. But I also enjoy the short summer because, it's different challenges. You have to find ways to get the group together quick, so they get to know each other and they build some type of chemistry to get results on the field. So it's two different experiences, but I will say I've enjoyed both. And I don't know. I don't have a preference right now. I think I like and dislike things from both sides.
Where's the best place in the world that soccer took you?
The best place in the world will be, I was able to live in Germany and play for a top team for Werder Bremen when I was young, and that was elite level. So that's the coolest place I've been.
Outstanding. Germany. And I guess, what do you remember most about that? Outside of the soccer, what do you remember about being ingrained in that community?
Well, learning a new language, I was able to learn German. I was able just to be part of the culture, and I just seen something different. I was young, so, it was my opportunity to go out and find myself also as my personality, who I wanted to be. So that, I think it plays a big role in my life, everything that I live in Germany.
All right, it's tryouts for FC Tucson coming up. Tryouts are going to be on March 23rd. That is Saturday over at the Keno North Sports Complex for the upcoming USL League 2 season, which I believe starts in May? Season starts?
Correct.
All right.
Correct. May 1st is when we're starting preseason. Yeah.
May 1st. All right. So if you've got some skill and you think you can make the USL League 2, head on out to the Keno North Sports Complex on Saturday. Sebastian, hey, best of luck to you. We look forward to having you on, as well as your players during the season, as you guys try to recapture the outstanding level of play that we saw when you were a player here, playing at this level for FC Tucson.
No, I appreciate all the support. I appreciate you having me here. And, yeah, looking forward for a great summer and see, bring those times back into FC Tucson.
Absolutely. Sebastian Pineda, the new manager for FC Tucson. He played for the club back in 2015 and 2017. I mean, that was when FC Tucson had it rolling in PDL. I mean, so he knows from his playing days what it takes to compete at this level. I mean, the FC Tucson was one of the best West Coast teams in the PDL. That was 15. They made it to the conference finals. 17. They made it to the conference semifinals. That was that 4-year run where they won 4 straight PDL division titles. The Mountain Division, they 3 times, in the Southwest Division once. And then they went to 3 conference finals in that stretch as well, and one semifinal with Rick Shantz and John Perlman coaching them up. So it's a level that FC Tucson has had a lot of success, and we hope to return it to that level of success for sure.
And it helps when the fans go out and support.
Absolutely. So get your tickets now for the games this May, June, and July out at Keno North Stadium.
I would love to see some locals make that team.
Yeah. They've had a number. There have been a number of locals. You go all the way back to Ricardo Valles. I mean, Donnie Toya was the first star in 2012, local out of CDO. And, so there have been some times when locals have come in on the PDL side because it's a little bit more of it's a collegiate level of talent. So you have some kids that have gone on from Southern Arizona to play collegiately and have come back and played during the summertime. But they've also had, man, I tell you, nothing away from the, and we'll get into more of this in the next hour, but nothing away from the professional side of it. That was really cool. But man, I just remember having so much fun covering those PDL teams, man. Some of the guys like Alfonso Panado and like I said, Ricardo Valles. And, they had some guys that were just fun to watch play back during that run between 14 and 18 when they were dominating out here on the West Coast. All right, it's DK on the Sports Tip coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. We'll let you hear more. We'll let you hear the ladies' side of the NCAA women's basketball setup. We'll have a little bit of Adia Barnes and her ladies. We'll have Helena Puello as well as Mary Martinez and a whole lot more. Corey Williams will also join us at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. DK on the Sports Tip. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and weather together. Broadway in Tucson Boulevard and Broadway Boulevard. That was an earlier collision with a motorcyclist involved. And there was an apartment fire reported on 5th Street on the west side of Rosemont. 50 the overnight low, sunny, 77 tomorrow and 70 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by the Arizona Department of Gaming. When it comes to gambling, it's easy to talk ourselves into doing something we know we shouldn't. There's a fine line between staying in control and losing complete control. Help is available 24/7 at problemgambling.az.gov.
Home and get cash all over the phone without dealing with real estate agents or having to waste time showing your home to lukewarm buyers. You don't need to lose your house to foreclosure. If you have equity in your home, we'll buy your home and give you cash within days, all in a simple over-the-phone and virtual process. Call now before your situation gets worse. Sell a home you can't afford or just need anymore and get the cash you need today. Call this number now.
Call 800-527-4903. That's 800-527-4903. 800-527-4903. Again, 800-527-4903.
Paid for by Airtime Media.
Do you have over $10,000 in credit card debt? The stress from excessive credit card debt can ruin your life. Collection calls, sleepless nights. If you're feeling the financial impact with unprecedented economic challenges, DebtBlue is here for you. DebtBlue uses secret programs that most credit card companies won't tell you about. They'll help you consolidate or settle your debts for a fraction of what you owe. With DebtBlue's Success Guarantee, you pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved. There's no risk. The more you owe, the more DebtBlue can save you. See how easy it is to get started with free information. Let DebtBlue show you how 10 minutes could save you thousands. Call now. 800-200-6895. That's 800-200-6895.
I'm just living sky high right now. I'm very thankful for it. And the team at DebtBlue are phenomenal. They're able to work with you. They're great.
Call for your free debt resolution information now. 800-200-6895. 800-200-6895.
Summer of 93, 76 days over 100. Summer of 23, the hottest on record.
We can't change the weather, but we can change your comfort.
Alaskan AC introduces the Grizzly.
The only air conditioner built for Arizona summers. It'll claw down hot temps.
The Grizzly.
This is getting intense.
It eats Arizona summers for breakfast.
Then it spits them out at lunch.
Wait a second.
The Grizzly claws the competition.
Tears them apart. Do another one.
Pounces on heat like it's a salmon spawning and rips it apart.
Like a salmon spawning?
Then takes a pirate sword and stabs high temperatures.
Hold it.
Aw, it was just getting good.
Folks, we designed a new air conditioner made to handle the heat and dust of Arizona summers. We call it the Grizzly.
Yeah.
Take it easy. It's tough as a grizzly, but gentle on your budget.
That pirate sword?
Before summer gets blazing, learn more about the Grizzly at AlaskanAC.com.
Free tickets to a U of A baseball game? That's what Clipper Automotive is giving you a chance to win. Clipper Automotive is now a proud partner of Arizona Athletics and would like to give you the opportunity to win a pair of tickets to a University of Arizona baseball game this season. All you need to do is stop by the shop on Thorndale Road and put your information in the Enter to Win box. That's right, stop by to enter at Clipper Automotive. No purchase necessary. Clipper Automotive provides honest, reasonable, and stress-free automotive repair services and looks forward to servicing your vehicle.
Your home for in-depth conversation.
Nothing they do is by surprise. They telegraph what they want to do, and then they brag about it afterwards. It's a way to keep us at each other's throats.
The most pressing issues.
This was just a white on black crime, and you can already see the narrative starting to form in real time.
And fresh perspective.
The air marshals will not be on the airplanes because they're down at the border escorting illegal aliens to their Ubers.
America's most loved truth tellers live on Tucson's home for conservative talk. This is Freedom 1400.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. I knew we could not put off getting life insurance. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $40 a month. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $18 a month.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-452-5050 or go to SelectQuote.com now. That's 1-800-452-5050. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Remember, the one and only play-by-play home for Arizona Athletics is 1290. So if you're listening to Arizona football, men's basketball, and baseball, you have it locked on 1290. Wildcats Radio 1290. KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We are the sports station that Tucson turns to for all the latest news when it comes to Arizona men's basketball, along with all the play-by-play action. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
From the what? Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket, getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but three first names, David Scott Kelly.
Final hour of the program as we get you set for tomorrow. It is going to be a basketball fiesta, the first official day of the NCAA Tournament. And the Arizona Wildcats, both the men and the women, are going to be on the floor. The men will be in Salt Lake City, 11 o'clock tip-off. They will take on the Long Beach State, the Beach. And then the ladies will be on the hardwood at 4 o'clock in Storrs, Connecticut for their first 4 game against the Auburn Tigers, a pair of 11 seeds playing to advance to the 11-6 game where they'll be taking on the Syracuse Orange Women, if that's the appropriate way to say that. I don't know that I've ever dealt with the Syracuse women's basketball team, so I'm not sure if that's how
I think orange
say
is
it
just
or not.
both genders.
Just the orange.
Yeah.
Syracuse, the orange. So we have the orange and the beach tomorrow for the Cats. And a man that has seen the Long Beach State 49ers the beach, not the 49ers, as well as the Arizona Wildcats, because he played here at the U of A, joins us now. Corey Williams, ESPN and Pac-12 college basketball analyst. And ironically, Corey, you spent quite a lot of time last week. You were in Las Vegas as well. You were on the Henderson side of things at the Big West tournament and watched this run by Long Beach State firsthand. What kind of stood out to you about what Dan Monson's crew was able to do last week?
Well, they played with purpose. They played with some focus. They believed in each other. I think the circumstances surrounding him being fired or let go kind of galvanized that team. And I think every coach is searching for a reason or a purpose or a message to kind of get his guys to focus these last few weeks of the season. And they were handed some pretty good motivation, and it carried them. I mean, they ended up beating a team that had beaten them twice throughout the year, but it didn't matter. When the chips were on the line, they came and played some really good basketball.
And so what do you see from this team? Obviously, they've got, it's a mix of guys. They've got transfers in as well that have come in. They've got a local youngster that comes off the bench. But Marcus Sohonis is the main scorer at 18 points per ball game. As far as the on-the-court side of it, what could be problematic for Arizona in this game?
Well, you look at the box score, you look at the stats, and you think Shahonis is the problem. He's not the problem. The problem is Abubakar Traore. He is the magician. He's the guy that beats his man one-on-one and creates open shots for everybody else. Lucena Traore had a monster game against Irvine, knocking them out. He is one of those guys where if he gets a couple of buckets, he's unstoppable. How he plays in the post, spin moves and one. Amari Stroud, a big guy that can knock down threes. Jadon Jones, this guy shoots LA Fitness Rec Center threes from anywhere, and he makes them. And what I'm telling you is they're shot makers. A.J. George is a shot maker. Shahonis is a shot maker. They don't care. They have nothing to lose, and they're already decently talented. So when you talk about the tournament, The first 10 minutes is like a heavyweight fight. Both teams feeling each other out. Everybody's jittery. I mean, that's just the way it goes in the NCAA tournament. So you're really talking about a 25 to 30-minute ball game with a break in the middle. That's usually what it amounts to. Nobody really jumps all over anybody anymore in the first 10 minutes because any team that's in the tournament has had enough experience to hold their own for 10 minutes. That's not too hard to do. So when you're talking about shot makers, what's dangerous about Long Beach State is their ability to make shots. They turn you over. They really get in the passing lanes. They block a lot of shots, but they're not very deep. So I think the advantage for Arizona, if Arizona can use their bigs, play inside out, take the threes when they present themselves, really deliver the body blows with Ballo and KJ, Arizona should be able to handle them relatively easy. But if it turns into a track meet and a shot-making contest, that's definitely plays into the hands of Long Beach State.
Corey Williams joining us. He is the Arizona forward, 1996, basketball analyst for ESPN and the Pac-12. Now, it's interesting you just said that because this is a team, Long Beach State, that, like Arizona, they like to try to get out in transition. So you think they can win that type of game?
They definitely can, because if you have live ball turnovers, they get it up court, and the first guy that's open shoots it. And the thing about them, if you go back and watch the tape, it is contagious. When one shot goes in, not only is that guy warm, his buddies want to jump in the party now, and they're shooting threes too. So it spreads throughout the team. I talked about them not being very deep in terms of going that deep into their bench. I think you don't want to get into a sloppy game because that benefits them tremendously if you're Arizona. But they're a solid team. I think Arizona's far more talented, talking about players 1 through 10. It's just going to be a question of will Arizona come out and play the defense that we've seen them play throughout the season? I know I don't want to be one of those guys that says back in my day, but damn it, back in my day, we didn't care who you were. We were going to make you play bad. That's the Coach Olsen philosophy. We're going to play defense. If you can't go left, we're going to make you go left. If you don't have an inside game, we're going to guard the perimeter. We are going to make you play bad. That's our focus. We don't even care about offense. But things have changed. Times have changed. Players' focus have changed. But if Arizona commits to the defensive end, they should not have a problem with Long Beach State.
Now, they play some zone. What did you see from their zone defense? And is this the type of zone defense that could be problematic to what we've seen to Arizona when they've had to face other zone defenses throughout the season?
All zones are the same. People play zone because they can't guard you one-on-one. There's no secret. So if you see somebody in the zone, they're surrendering and waving the white flag and saying, we have no chance of guarding you one-on-one. So what does that mean? That means they can't guard the ball. So break down the zone with the penetration, drop it off to Ballo for the dunks and the and ones, or kick it out for the wide open threes. But if you stay on the perimeter playing handball, which Arizona has a tendency to do at times, you're going to struggle against the zone. Somebody just has to decide that I'm going to break the zone down and be a creator, and then the zones usually fall apart. Arizona has the shooters with Larson and Love and Boswell. They can destroy a zone if somebody breaks it down first. I don't know who that player is going to be, but hopefully, I know Monson is going to show zone. He has to when you're only 8 deep in a tournament game. They want to run when they have the opportunity. They want to slow it down. They don't want Arizona scoring 85, 90 points. So they definitely will play zone because Arizona's got plenty of tape out there struggling against the zone. So it'll just be a question of, are they aggressive against the zone or not?
Corey Williams joining us, college basketball analyst with Pac-12 Network, ESPN, U of A forward, 1996. Corey, Caleb Love has been struggling the last 3 games, shooting just 21%, well documented. What have you seen that might be the cause for that?
They're not good threes. He's not shooting the healthy threes. He's shooting threes off the bounce. He's shooting threes with the defender still on him. There's a three. I mean, you may go games. If you're a three-point shooter, any coach worth his salt is going to take away your three-point shot, which means you got to get it another way. So you have to divorce yourself of those shots. When he's shooting that kick or that penetrate or that inside-out pass from the big, he's one of the best shooters in the country. When he's shooting a different type of three off the dribble or the hurry-up three where the shot clock is winding down and the ball's in his hand, those dribble pull-up threes, very low percentage shots. He's got to get back to the healthy threes. And he may only get one or two of them, but Caleb Love is a player who can get you 20 points with only one or two made threes. He can play a complete game. He can get to the free throw line. He can get transition buckets. He doesn't have to worry about his perimeter jumper. So for him, it's just, hey, he's definitely, Pac-12 Conference Player of the Year. He's a super talent. Now's not the time to hesitate, but you also got to realize you got 4 other great players out there on the court with you. You don't have to shoot bad shots, especially in the tournament.
And that's the other thing. He's not getting downhill in these last 3 games. He's only shot 4 free throws, as you mentioned. He's a guy that can get to the line, needs to get to the line, but has not been. And two of those 3 games has not gotten to the line at all for the University of Arizona. So let me ask you this question, Corey. This is the question we've been posing to the fan base, and we asked Brian Jeffries this as well. When you look, Arizona was a 2 seed last year, so it's a 2-15 matchup again this year. Does Long Beach State, the 15 seed, do they scare you more than Princeton, the 15 seed, did last year?
You know what? I would say it's about the same. Princeton was so methodical. They ran their stuff. They made buckets. They broke Arizona down defensively, and then the kids kind of got stage fright, and the rest was history. I think Long Beach State is an emotional team. They're going to try to make threes, get a lead, and then drop into that zone. But I think they're not as defensively sound as Princeton was, so Arizona won't have a lot of difficulty scoring. If they settle for threes and perimeter shots, they may. But if they intend on playing inside out through Ballo and penetrating the ball and being active and getting downhill, Long Beach State can't handle that. So I'd say it's about equal. They're both of those teams, both Princeton and Long Beach State, have their strengths, but Arizona's in complete control. If Arizona decides to defend, if Arizona decides to use its size and be physical, you can get a couple of fouls on guys early in the game, get them out of there, and be dealing with backups and rope and bench players. It's such an emotional game because it's a tournament game. And, the longer that they hang around, the more the pressure swings to Arizona. So come out, play defense, get some buckets, get a good lead early. That's the recipe.
You were on the Utah game last night, NIT. What's on the rest of your docket for this week?
Still waiting to hear. I don't know if it's been announced if Utah's playing Saturday or Sunday, and I know they're playing Iowa and Salt Lake City. And then the folks at the network will let me know if I'm on the game or if somebody else is going to be doing it. So I think I may be finished for the season. However, I'm still waiting. There's a possibility they could send us back out.
All right, so you might be in Salt Lake City as well come the weekend if the Wildcats can make
Could
it to
be.
Saturday.
Wildcats make it to Saturday, I'll call a game set. You'll see me sitting there courtside in my bow tie, and as soon as the game's over, I'm going to run over and work for the network.
Well, then if that happens, we'll have you back on next week again to talk about what you saw. Corey, we appreciate you as always. He's all over the networks on college basketball. College Corey, that's how you can find him on Twitter, at College Corey. Corey Williams, U of A basketball class of 1996. Corey, appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. Take it easy.
Corey Williams is our guest. Always great insight there from the big-time forward here and lives here in Tucson year-round as well. All right, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. We'll hear from the Arizona women's basketball team straight ahead. But first, here's cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. With a hit-and-run wreck reported at Snyder and Sabino Canyon and Snyder, that's a reported hit-and-run wreck. Stalled vehicle, Wilmot and Golf Links and Wilmot. Earlier collision with a motorcyclist involved at Broadway and Tucson Boulevard and Broadway. 50, the overnight low, sunny, 77 tomorrow and 69 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by ChumbaCasino.com. With over 100 online casino-style games, Chumba Casino is your go-to destination for nonstop entertainment. Play for fun and play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void or prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
This is what a party sounds like. This is what O'Reilly's 100-year anniversary party will sound like. Save the date. It's March 23rd, right here at the dealership.
O'Reilly Chevrolet.
Get the backyard you've always wanted with a custom pool from First Choice Pools. A backyard oasis built around you. First Choice is a full-service builder of beautiful in-ground pools and backyard designs for years of staycations. If you're ready to dive in, then visit TucsonPoolBuilder.com. Schedule now and get 3 months of full service free. First Choice Pools for installs, renovation, remodeling, and repair. Get started today at TucsonPoolBuilders.com. First Choice Pools, the first and only choice.
Most financial advisors I know have had a moment in their career where they thought, with more control, I would do things differently for my client's sake. This is Natalie Fernandez with Meridian Wealth Management, and our firm was created by advisors with the understanding that we need flexibility, control, and decision-making power to create the best experience for our clients. If you're an advisor interested in learning more about our growing firm, call me at 719-1433 to talk more today.
Advisory services provided by Meridian Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor.
Summer of 93, 76 days over 100. Summer of 23, the hottest on record.
We can't change the weather, but we can change your comfort.
Alaskan AC introduces the Grizzly.
The only air conditioner built for Arizona summers. It'll claw down hot temps.
The Grizzly.
This is getting intense.
It eats Arizona summers for breakfast.
Then it spits them out at lunch.
Wait a second.
The Grizzly claws the competition.
Tears them apart. Do another one.
Pounces on heat like it's a salmon spawning and rips it apart.
Like a salmon spawning?
Then it takes a pirate sword and stabs high temperatures.
Hold it.
Aw, it was just getting good.
Folks, we designed a new air conditioner made to handle the heat and dust of Arizona summers. We call it the Grizzly.
Yeah.
Take it easy. It's tough as a grizzly, but gentle on your budget.
That pirate sword?
Before summer gets blazing, learn more about the Grizzly at AlaskanAC.com.
Sean Furrier for Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. Spring is on its way to southern Arizona, and while we're hoping for a few more weeks of mild weather, we know extreme heat comes next. So right now is the time to get your car or truck road trip ready. And with 14 convenient locations, Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care is the place. Not sure about your car's air conditioner? Need to check out that light on your dashboard? Or make sure your battery can make it through another summer? Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care is here to help. With decades of experience here in Arizona and dozens of top shop awards for tires and automotive maintenance. And right now, save big on the brands you love, like Michelin, and get big rebates like $100 back on Cooper tires. Plus, buy 3, get 1 free on Cooper's new Pro Control Series tires. You can stack on even more savings when you pay with your Jack Furrier card. Check out jackfurriers.com for all the promotions and details, and even more money-saving coupons on top of our already low prices. Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care, since 1960, here to get you there.
Contact Tax Relief Helpers for details and restrictions.
Attention, anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, or other hostile measures by the IRS. Call Tax Relief Helpers right now at 800-539-5094. Tax Relief Helpers will provide you the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-539-5094 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, or other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-539-5094. 800-539-5094. 800-539-5094.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290 is the number for you to get in on the program. Arizona women's basketball will take on Auburn at Storrs, Connecticut. Tomorrow it is the first four. They are an 11 seed, and they will need to win 2 games to get to a game with the host UConn. The Wildcats are making their fourth straight appearance in the NCAA tournament, just the second time in the history of the program that they have ever done that. Adia Barnes played on the teams that did it the first time. She now coaches the team that has done it the second time and spoke today about her team's assignment in the tournament.
I'm really excited to be here. For most of our players, their first time all the way out in Connecticut, but there's so much history here. This is a beautiful place and just such a legendary place, a lot of history. So happy to be here, excited for the tournament.
Questions? We'll go up front to Pat.
Hi, Coach. Pat Eaton-Robb with the Associated Press. Nice to see you on a format other than Zoom.
Yeah, I know.
Could you talk a little bit about the adversity that your team has faced this year with injuries and players leaving the team, and how you've overcome that, and what you do when you have 7 players available?
Yeah, I was joking about this before. I said, a couple of years ago I had 15 players, and I remember at the end of the season I said, I will never have 15 players again. It's so many because 10 people are really upset and 5 people don't really have a chance to play. And towards the end of this year I said, I will never have just 10 players or 11 because of injuries. But I've never been in the situation before. If you look at the very beginning of the season, Monte Adu tore her ACL. That was the first time anybody had ever torn their ACL since I was a head coach. So that was a big blow. But then I think a lot of things just happened in a short amount of time. And then losing Solly after that was really big because they're similar positions. They're both like 3-4s for us. And then obviously, Maya choosing, to focus on medical school, that was hard. So just stuff that you couldn't plan for and that wasn't expected. But I think the great thing about it is it's really given our young players a chance to come together and just figure it out. We've had 7 players for most of the year. And I know it's going to show numbers-wise we have 8, but the 8th is a recent walk-on that doesn't know our system yet, can't really play because she doesn't even know our numbering system or our philosophy. She's only been in a couple practices, but we just needed a body. So these 7 have been just great. It's been so rewarding to watch them grow. 3 freshmen starting that are getting so much experience. And I think that one of the great things is no one's complaining about playing time, so because they're all going to play. No, but I think also from a player's perspective, they know they're going to get opportunities. They go and they play so hard, and the style that we play, I think it's even more challenging with a shorter bench, because we're aggressive. So sometimes it amazes me. Helena, she averages 39-30 a game, number 1 in the Pac-12, one of the top in the country. And she always plays their best player. She always defends the best player. And we ask for a lot from her on offense, so they just amaze me. But they have heart. We have a great group, of a cohesive unit with confidence, believes in each other, and I think we've just figured it out. And I think when we had adversity, every time something happens, we got together more and came together more. So it's been fun, this journey with these 7 or 8.
Questions? Go ahead, Pat.
Coach, I wanted to get your perspective on the transfer portal. We saw in Congress some coaches saying that things have gotten so wacky that they're just leaving, they're retiring. They don't want to deal with it anymore.
I think that's going to happen more this year, too.
Yeah, and I wanted to get your perspective from a coach's point of view, first on whether you think the players have a different kind of voice now that there is the transfer portal, and what the solution is to all of this.
Yeah, the first thing is I'm too young to retire, so I think you will see a lot of shift in retirement. I think that people, it's different. It's even shifted and changed in my 8 years. I remember Doug Bruno said a couple of years ago, this is like the wild, wild west. And it kind of is. It's different now. I think players can just they can leave when they want. It's hard. So you got to recruit your team and recruit the portal. So it's just different.
And in terms of building a team, for you, how has that been? Transfer portal obviously takes away some players, but you do kind of get to rebuild in your image every year because you can get these players.
I need some water. Let's go. Do you have water?
You gotta come.
I think the good thing is that you can get good fast. So you can go to the portal fast. You can rebuild. I think those are the positive things. But I think the hard thing is you have to recruit your own team, and you have to maintain your players and go in the portal. So I think that's the challenge, but it's just changed. I think more of recruiting now it's so transactional, it's not relational. So I think that's hard. I think it's hard keeping your players, keeping them happy, and then just trying to build and figure out what direction you want to go in. So do you want to go in the portal every year, or do you want to build off freshmen? And I think the reality is nowadays it's hard to win with freshmen because they're freshmen. So you have to find the balance of developing your freshmen, keeping this foundation, and then bringing in pieces from the portal. But I think if you look at the positive side is you can get good really fast. You can go in the portal and you can get 3 or 4 players, and you can turn a program around really, really quickly. So I think those are the positives. I think it's just harder to lose players continuously. If you look at some of the players, like you may recruit them since 8th grade, and then you're talking about in the portal. So the portal hit like what, like a week ago? There's like 500 players. How long ago? Well, the actual grad transfer portal, that hit like what, a few weeks ago. The other part of the portal hit like 2 days ago. There's probably 500 players in 2 days. So I think the difficult thing about that is you recruit players for a couple days, unless you've known them from before. So if you knew them from before, you may recruited them and they went to another school, so you like re-recruit them. But it is very fast, and I think it's hard because you don't have time to develop the relationship, and you're building programs off of that. But when I think about like the history of Arizona is we have had a lot of success with transfers. There was not the portal when I first got to Arizona, but Arian McDonald was a transfer. Dominique McBride, T.T. Starks. We have had success, and that's how we got good fast. That's how we ended up winning the NIT and then going to the Final Four, was off of that. So I think if you get the right people that fit your culture and your program, you can be very successful. And if you don't, it's hard. But I am not a coach. I don't want 8 new players a year. That's just not what I want. I think it's really hard because we teach a lot. I think we have a pretty complex defensive system, which you see the benefits after a couple of years. And so for me as a coach, it's hard. Some players you recruit since like 8th grade, you develop them, they work, and then like say they leave because they don't play what they anticipated. And then like you see, you're like, oh, I taught her to do that. She can do that, like so other people kind of reap the rewards of your work. So I think that's hard. And I think for mid-majors, I think it's killing mid-major programs. Because you can develop a kid, maybe she was a diamond in the rough, you got her, you develop her, and then another big Power 5 school comes in and says, I'm going to give you $50,000, but the mid-major school had no money to pay for NIL. So I think those are difficult situations for coaches, and I think it really impacts the lower level schools.
We'll take a question from Zoom. We'll go to Matt on Zoom. Matt, go ahead.
There we go. Hey, Adia. Matt Reynoldson with KBOA in Tucson. We've talked a lot about the grueling Pac-12 schedule and everything that you guys went through with that. But I want to bring up a couple things from November and December. The Atlantis tournament, that was a grind going into that because of how tight that schedule was there. And then the week where you guys played Texas, Gonzaga, and ASU in that. How did those stretches, even early on when you had more bodies, prepare you for these moments where you're going to have to potentially play 3 in a weekend against great teams?
Matt, thinking about that, you're making me remember that. I'm like, who did their schedule? Who did that schedule? That was me. No, I think that I wanted to challenge us. I wanted us to play good teams, but when you do the schedule, it's way earlier. So when you do the schedule months before, you don't anticipate all the roster changes. So looking back, I scheduled pretty difficult for this team, not anticipating transfers and stuff like that. We were very young, so a very young team to play that schedule. So learning lesson in year 8 is probably not to schedule so hard in the future because, it's the gauntlet in the Pac-12. It was so tough. But the positive thing about it is we had some adversity. We played some really hard teams, and it really prepared us for the Pac-12. So I think when I look at that, that's the positive thing, but obviously I didn't anticipate all the injuries and stuff like that, but those are things I can't control. But that little stretch right before the Atlantis tournament And that was a very difficult stretch. That it's just kind of the way the schedule went. But we learned from all this. I think we've gotten better. Our players have gained so much experience. I mean, starting 3 freshmen, of course, you're going to lose some games just because of experience and depth. That's happened. But I think that's one of the reasons why we've just continued to get better and better. But yeah, so I definitely schedule very difficult. I mean, Gonzaga, we played some teams that most people are like, they get calls from, they're like, oh no, we're not playing that team. It's mid-major teams that are very, very tough. But I think it's going to pay off in the end. So hopefully we'll see in the tournament.
Matt, do you have another question? Okay,
Unmute myself here. You touched on it a little bit in your opening statement, but just being able to see your players embrace the history of UConn and being on this stage that is really one of the meccas of women's college basketball, it being there, being able to just step up to this stage and see these bright lights to build for the rest of their basketball careers.
Just pulling up here, I think some people didn't really know, like Brea's never been here, she didn't really know what to expect. I think it's so different, like just the landscape and everything just looks so different. So I think some are like, wow, it's cool. But we're definitely freezing because we're used to Arizona weather. So for us, it's really cold. But I think as far as history, there is so much history here. We haven't been to the course. We've only been in the locker room. But I think they're excited. I don't know because we haven't really talked about it yet. But I think it's the first thing, regardless of where it is or who we play, I think just the overall excitement of being in the tournament. Very blessed to be here. If you would have asked our team like 6 weeks ago, do we think we're going to make it to the tournament? Most would have probably said no. So I think all of that, like it didn't matter where we go or who we play. I think they're just happy to be here and we want to win. And I think that's the great thing about this young team is they just want to win. They don't care who, and probably because they're young, so they don't know like the stakes or the weight of some games. But I'm sure they're excited to be here. I'm sure they're probably looking around like, oh, this is what I thought or wasn't what I thought. But there is a lot of history here, and I think Gino's done a tremendous job of building a dynasty, and it's really hard to do. And it's really hard to do here. Like it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it's a beautiful place. But it's hard to build something like he did. So I'm excited to see how our reactions are, and how we approach everything, and just I'm excited to see how we're going to play and what we're going to do moving forward.
All right, that is Adia Barnes, the head coach of your Arizona Wildcats and Auburn Tigers. The Tigers went 8-8 in the SEC. They finished 7th, 20-11. They're coached by Johnny Harris. And this will be only the second time these two teams have ever played. The last time was a non-conference game way back in 2000 that the Wildcats lost 69-66. Tip-off will be right after 4 o'clock tomorrow. You'll hear that game on Freedom 1400 KTUC. Derek Palmer will have the call, and coverage begins at 3:45. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the Fives. We'll hear from Helena Puello and Esmeri Martinez next. But first, here's cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together. Tucson and 6th Street and Tucson Boulevard, new collision reported. Also had a hit-and-run wreck that occurred at Sabino and Snyder and Sabino Canyon. Collision that's mostly residential on Silver Lake to the east of Country Club. And for our weather, about 50 as our overnight low. Sunny 77 tomorrow and 69 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together.
This report is sponsored by Discover. If you like using debit over credit, shouldn't you also get rewarded? Well, now you can with Discover Cashback Debit. It's a checking account that rewards everyone with cash back on everyday purchases with no fees, period. Check out eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do, do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill.
2023 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly. El Rio Vecinos are gearing up to take you on another global adventure for their 2024 block party. London is calling on April 6th at Plaza Palomino, where guests will enjoy dozens of food and beverage partners, dancing, entertainment, and more. Your support will help fund the El Rio Cancer Prevention and Treatment Fund. Mark your calendar for the El Rio Vecinos Block Party, April 6th from 7 to 11 p.m. Tickets available at elriovecinos.com.
Summer of 93, 76 days over 100. Summer of 23, the hottest on record.
We can't change the weather, but we can change your comfort.
Alaskan AC introduces the Grizzly.
The only air conditioner built for Arizona summers. It'll claw down hot temps.
The Grizzly.
This is getting intense.
It eats Arizona summers for breakfast.
Then it spits them out at lunch.
Wait a second.
The Grizzly claws the competition.
Tears them apart. Do another one.
Pounces on heat like it's a salmon spawning and rips it apart.
Like a salmon spawning?
Then it takes a pirate sword and stabs high temperatures.
Hold it.
Aw, it was just getting good.
Folks, we designed a new air conditioner made to handle the heat and dust of Arizona summers. We call it the Grizzly.
Yeah.
Take it easy. It's tough as a grizzly, but gentle on your budget.
That pirate sword?
Before summer gets blazing, learn more about the Grizzly at AlaskanAC.com.
Introducing Tanzite Stone Tile Flooring, a game changer in the tile industry. Say goodbye to the trade-off between durability and easy installation with Tanzite's revolutionary indoor-outdoor stone tile. Visit Tanzite.com to see how our tile is installed without concrete or mortar. Instead, our innovative rubber gasket system connects the tiles together. Each tile coming pre-assembled, you simply grab one and place it. No expertise needed. At Tanzite.com, you can see how our foam-back tiles contour to cover any existing floor while insulating against sound and cold. Beautiful and versatile. Tanzite tile adapts to indoor or outdoor use, from kitchens to patios, on concrete basements or wooden decks. All with the durability of stone that's guaranteed for life. Witness this innovative product yourself and order a sample today at Tanzite.com. That's TANZITE.com.
Get buzzer beater savings now at Royal Buick GMC. Score a new GMC Terrain lease for $289 a month, or lease the new GMC Sierra 1500 for $299 a month, or finance for 2.9% for 72 months. Save on the new 24 Buick Envista, starting as low as $18,632. Plus, get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months and make no payments for 90 days on the 23 Buick Envision or Enclave or the 24 Buick Encore GX. See dealer for details. All offers OAC plus tax, title, license, dealer installed options, and $529 doc fee. Must finance through GM Financial. Terrain G7987, Sierra G8015, and Vista B33668. Offers end 4/1/24. Get buzzer beater savings now at Royal Buick GMC in the Tucson Auto Mall or RoyalTucson.com.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290. And now, the best thing you will hear all day.
Hachi-machi!
It's time for the Wildcat Radio Replay. In case you missed this earlier in the day, we now bring you the best of 1290. It's made possible by Desert Diamond Sportsbook, Arizona's best bet.
It is Arizona and Auburn in the first four of the NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament coming up at the Gamble Pavilion in Storrs, Connecticut on Thursday. Wildcats, an 11 seed, Auburn, an 11 seed, playing for the right to advance and take on Syracuse, the number 6 seed in that regional, being hosted by the University of Connecticut and Gino Auriemma, one of the most powerful programs in the women's college realm. So not an easy task, but it would be great to see the Wildcats get back to another meeting against UConn, the team that they knocked off in the Final Four 4 years ago, or 3 years ago, actually, to reach the national championship game. So Arizona and UConn, that would be fun to see again. Had a chance to hear from two seniors, as Mary Martinez, fourth among active D1 players in career rebounds. She has over 1,200 of those. And Helena Puello, sixth among active D1 players in career steals with 305, the most in program history. Let's hear from the ladies this afternoon in Storrs.
Hi, Pat Eatonrow from the Associated Press. Nice to meet both of you. Can you guys, team has been through so much adversity in terms of injuries and transfer and people leaving the team and that kind of stuff this year. Can you talk about how that has prepared you guys for this, strengthened the team, kind of brought you together, if that's the case?
Yeah, I mean, we have been a lot of challenges, but at the end of the day, you just gotta come together. It is what it is. You have who we have, and I think that's what we have been doing this the whole year on the conference, and we're just gonna show people how tough is our conference. So we're just ready, and if we're seven players, but we're just gonna go for it.
Well, I feel because we have a young team, a lot of transfer. We really have a tough time with everything this season, but by the day we become together, we become Brazilian and support each other everywhere. Like if somebody hurt, we trying to like give them rehab because we only 7 play, and we will try and become together to play hard and be there for each other.
Any other questions?
Sure.
Sure.
Can you guys just talk a little bit about how playing in your conference helps prepare you for the tournament? I mean, you guys could have potentially had 3 number 1 seeds this year, and you won some big games, including at Stanford on the road. And how does that help when you're going into a tournament like this?
I feel we're more than ready because, playing in the Pac-12 is the toughest conference in the country, and I think we're going to feel a lot of difference because it's not the same. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't know who you're going to play against, so you just got to go hard. But I think the Pac-12 is going to make, like, a lot of, like, difference. So, and that's what we're going to do.
Same thing. Huh?
Yeah, same.
Questions for the student athletes? Go ahead, Pat.
Okay. Could you guys address the transfer portal issue from a player's perspective? Do you feel that the transfer portal has been a good thing for women's college basketball? And for the players, do you feel it gives you guys a little bit bigger voice when coaches know that anybody can transfer out when, if they don't like what's going on in the program?
I got no opinion about it.
I mean, I don't know. I think it just depends on the player. Like, if you're not comfortable somewhere, you can just go somewhere. In my case, I've been conference my whole 5 years, so I didn't have to transfer. But I think it depends on every player. So I don't really know.
And could you talk a little bit about the culture of this program with Coach Barnes and what she has built here? You're back to having a young team this year, but 4 years in a row in the tournament, and what has she meant to this program?
I mean, for me, she meant everything to me. I came here 5 years ago. I didn't know where I was gonna go, and then my second year we went to the Final Four. So I was like, this is my right place to be. And then I keep staying here for these 4 years, and I think Adia made really good things with us, with some other players, and I think just not that just because of her, but like some other good players, other good transfer also. So I think we have a good opportunity to go back again to that Final Four.
Questions? I'll ask a question. Talk about the challenges that Auburn will present you tomorrow night.
Oh, I think they're a really good team. They're a really physical team. They really play really good defense like us, and it's gonna be good challenge tomorrow for us and for them too. We're gonna come out and play hard and play each other like we do the whole year.
Yeah, I think they're a really aggressive team. I think we just gotta be smart. They're gonna be on the night the whole time, so we just gotta be smart and just run the right place. But I think it's gonna be fun. I mean, this is the time of the year when it's fun, and we're just gonna show our best, and we're just gonna give our 100%.
Talk about what it's like coming here to Connecticut into this storied Gamble Pavilion and playing here.
I think it's really cool. I mean, it's my first time here at UConn, so I always wanted to see how it looks like, and I think it's just pretty cool for us. And I think it's gonna be good for us to also play here.
Different weather.
What's that?
It's a different weather too. Yeah.
A little colder, huh?
Yes.
Any other questions?
That was the Wildcat Radio Replay with the best of the best from 1290. It's brought to you by Desert Diamond Sportsbook, Arizona's best bet.
Helena Puello and Esmeri Martinez at the dais in Storrs, Connecticut today. Different weather for sure there with temperatures in the 30s. And apparently there was talk that it is a small town. It's not like a large city. There's not a lot of hotel rooms apparently in Storrs. So the Wildcats are not staying relatively close to the University of Connecticut on this particular trip. So, a lot of interesting things that you deal with when you go away to the NCAA tournament. But you know what we've got, J-Dub?
What's that?
We've got a bracket that has been released by the President of the United States.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, we got this became a big deal during the President
yeah.
Obama administration. The president would do a bracket every year, so...
Well, he was a bit of a baller, right?
Yeah, he was. He could play. He could play for sure.
He
still
is.
is.
Yeah.
He probably still plays. Joe Biden, his Final Four. Connecticut. He's not going on any boat rides here. I mean, he's got 3 number 1 seeds and a 2. Connecticut, Houston, Tennessee, and North Carolina. He's got North Carolina beating Arizona in the Elite Eight. And not showing much love to the Purdue Boilermakers. He's got Kansas beating Purdue in the Sweet 16. I think most people don't even think Kansas is going to get there. I've heard people that don't think Kansas is going to get out of tomorrow or Friday or whatever they play.
Yeah, didn't Hutchinson have a bit of an injury coming into the
they've
tournament?
got some serious. The McCullough kid is not going to play.
Yeah.
They've got some serious injuries happening there.
I mean, their center's really good from Michigan. If he's not playing well, I don't know how you match up with Edey without a top flight center. I think that's a losing proposition.
So that is your presidential ballot right there by President Joe Biden, who was in Arizona today, up in the Valley, campaigning after the primary yesterday. I did not vote in the primary yesterday. That's on me. Some other news to delve into. The Suns have signed Isaiah Thomas.
They did.
How about that? The Washington Huskies legend.
Yeah, the bane of the existence of a lot of Arizona Wildcat fans during that stretch. I mean, those are some great Huskies teams. Brandon Roy and so forth. Yeah.
2011 or 10 that they won. They beat Arizona. He hit the shot.
I'd have to look it up. Yeah, I'd have to look it up. But the Gus Johnson call, everybody remembers it.
Yes, they do. He's been on a number of teams, 550 games in the NBA, a 2-time All-Star, 11 years. Has played for Sacramento, Phoenix, Boston, Cleveland, the Lakers, Denver, Washington, New Orleans, Dallas, and Charlotte.
I got
now
the thoughts
with Phoenix again.
I got the thoughts of one of his former Washington. What were they? They were Wizards at that point? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know when they changed their name, but I do have the thoughts of one Bradley Beal if you'd like to hear them.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, here's Bradley Beal on IT joining the team. As I said, here is Bradley Beal on IT joining the team.
I'm a huge IT fan from competing against him for so many years when he was in Boston and, being his teammate in DC as well. Like I've got a chance to see him every single day, put the work in and the challenges that he went through as a player, overcoming some injuries too. But, to be able to come back now, like you said, it's very unheard of. But I commend him, man. I salute him. He's always been a worker. He believes in the process. He trusts his work. And, that's just the evolution of today's game and just the evolution of who he is. He's always going to be a hooper. There's nothing that can stop him or set him back from accomplishing his goals and dreams. And he's one that lives it out, man. So he's a great prime example, I feel like, to kids and to a lot of people, of just going out and just keep pushing, no matter if people tell you no matter if people shut you down. He's heard it all, and to see him back I love it. And I'm excited for him.
I mean, come on, DK. Anybody who's under 6 feet who can get it done, but that guy's got to be 5'8", 5'9". I mean, he's not a big dude. So, but always been super stocky. And the best thing about those Washington teams is they were all homegrown. He's out of Tacoma, right? So Roy was Seattle. There's a lot of Washington folks on those Huskies teams back in the day. I always liked watching Isaiah Thomas do his thing for that reason, just because it's become a big man. The NBA's average level of height per player has always just risen and risen and risen and risen since the mid 80s. And now, yeah, I mean, not the centers. You don't see a lot of big centers out there anymore, but as far as it's a lot of 6'3", 6'4" point guards. So as a 5'9" guy, I had much respect for a dude out there getting it done.
He was lighting up the G League with the Salt Lake City Stars, averaging 33 points, making 6 threes per ball game, and shooting 45% from behind the arc. So I'm sure he'll add some depth to the Suns, who play tonight and tomorrow back-to-backs at home before they head back out on to continue this stretch of, I believe it's 12 games, 12 of 14 games on the road.
Welcome to the Valley. Go guard Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, there you go. Sixers in town tonight for the Phoenix Suns. We'll talk a little bit about that maybe tomorrow. So we're going to have an early day tomorrow. It's going to start at 7 a.m. Meridian Wealth Management Countdown to Tip-Off Show, 7 a.m. Earliest show this year for any sport. We've done some 8 a.m. shows, like 8:30, but never 7 a.m. So it'll be drive time basketball getting you set for Arizona and Long Beach State, a game that'll tip off at 11 o'clock. So we'll take you from 10 to 11, and then Brian Jeffries and company will have you from 11 till we come back on probably around 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon with the post-game show, hopefully talking about the Wildcats advancing on to Saturday. Thanks to all the people that joined us today. Brian Jeffries, Corey Williams, all the great sound we had from the Wildcats, Dan Monson for keeping us laughing. In fact, Dan Monson has one more thing he'd like to say before he leaves the dais.
All right. Seeing none, well, I'll see you guys on Friday, right? Thank you, Coach, and best of luck tomorrow. Tell Tommy I said that.
That is not funny. That is not funny. That's why Long Beach State scares the hell out of me.
It's funny because
they absolutely do not care.
It's funny because they're friends. The same thing is like him putting the Princeton offense in and Tommy being like, well, at least you got some kind of offense coming our way. Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Ribbing among friends.
All right, that's our time for tonight. For Cricket, for J-Dub, my name is David Kelly. We'll talk to you in the morning. Get a good night's sleep. Let's ball.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. With police activity, I-10 near the Ajo-Kino connection. I-10 near Ajo-Kino for some police activity there. Some slowdowns on the southbound I-19 frontage road as you approach Irvington. Backups for westbound Ajo Way at Mission. Reported collisions at 6th and Tucson Boulevard and 6th Street. Crash at Oracle and Steam Pump Way. 50 the overnight low. Sunny 77 tomorrow and 68 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Robert Half. of 23, the hottest on